Hello, everyone. We are back with another episode of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. As always, we're covering all things Counter-Strike. It's episode 60. 60 already in just over a year. I feel like we had a faster set of episodes hit when we started, or maybe just the numbers feel like they're slowing down.
Well, I mean, you became a dad, I think, number one.
So instantly not as keen.
And I mean, we probably could have squeezed in a day or two extra if we did it when you were in Astana, but obviously not possible this time around.
It was tough.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like in the middle of the season, it can be hard to kind of find the perfect day to actually cover things. Because
Especially this one.
Yeah, but when we started, the schedule of tournaments wasn't that packed, and it wasn't just like kind of multiple tournaments stacked on top of each other like it is now. So, I mean, we're having to balance when are we going to actually talk about
Record
what topics
between the episodes.
Even have to like remove some topics because there's so much happening in the week. So I feel like
Facts.
it's a different climate for us also to kind of fit it in the schedule, if that makes sense.
Navigating it has become harder. Actually, let's ask that then. Let's ask the viewers from the beginning of the episode, is there more confusing CS for you guys to follow, more too many events? Is it a bit wilder these days? Is it more difficult? Because we're obviously very in it. So like we're living and breathing it. But maybe for like someone who is busy with wife, girlfriend, work, and all these other things, you know, and friends and going out doing normal stuff, maybe they don't actually get to see as much or watch as much CS. That's a good point to ask you guys as the viewers at home. But either way, I'll do the usual thing. It's actually the 20th of May, 2026. For me, it is 10 minutes past midnight, which means it is 1:10 in the morning for Devilwalk over in Sweden. I'm in Portugal, and that's it. That's where we're at. This is where we got to. I don't feel like I'm jet lagged from Astana, but I feel like I'm on a time loop. I feel like I'm just lost in time at the moment. It was such a long, crazy travel. I had a 7-hour layover, bro, in Turkey. That's not fun at all. But we'll shout out Turkish Airlines one time. They did give me a suite room, which is like inside the lounge with a bed, desk, everything. Not supposed to have access to it. Shouldn't have got it, but because we had the baby, they like, oh, we have space. We can do it for you this time. So that was a huge win.
That's nice of them.
Yeah, kind of winning. What have you been up to for the past couple of weeks? We did episode 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah.
Well, obviously, as you can see, I'm a Spurs fan, so I've been.
When have you not been
struggling? It's been up and down. I've been, obviously with the team doing a lot of work in that department, but I've also been nervous for games. There was a game today against Chelsea. We lost. We're still in this like.
Not good for your relegation, is it?
We're 1 point ahead of West Ham. There's one game to go. No, we're 2 points ahead of West Ham. One game to go. We need a draw or a win in the next game against Everton. And I think West Ham is playing Leeds or something like that.
Ooh.
So it's very.
Mate, there is a way they can be safe and you get relegated, right?
Yeah, 100%. So it's going to be all coming down on the last day of Premier League. And I mean, to some degree, I'm feeling blessed that I get to, like, as a football fan, endure a relegation battle.
Yeah.
But also, it's a bit cursed, you know. I'm stressed as hell.
Mate, all these times of you bullying me across the last year about Man United, we're not facing relegation. We're sitting in first
Well, I
place.
bullied you when I was equally bullyable.
Yeah, but now you are completely up the arse. You're done.
We're not done. I think when Roberto De Zerbi came in, things have changed. There's a pathway to happiness with him. But it's definitely rough being a Spurs fan, especially since Arsenal won the league, a couple of hours ago.
Yeah. That's not acceptable. Arsenal winning the league is not acceptable. Something has gone horribly wrong.
It's bad for every single football fan in the world.
Oh yes, except the very few. No, there's a lot of Arsenal fans, but I mean the few Arsenal fans out there, you know. So on this episode, what are things we're going to be covering? We're going to go and review everything that happened in Astana, which turned out to be a pretty damn good event. I'm going to turn down my screen's brightness so my face doesn't light up every single time as well, for the viewers to see at home. Then we got some recent news stuff. Then we're also going to do the preview for CAC. By the time this episode's out, CAC would have started, but we're still going to give our thoughts on everything because trying to film this episode in time, trying to do everything correctly between when I landed and then coming home and actually just relaxing and getting settled into home wasn't quite possible, so it's on me. And then we're going to do the Atlanta review because it was such a small event and it was like not such a wow event, right? It wasn't really an S-tier event. We're going to do that in a few days' time when CAC ends. So we'll do 2 reviews in one go and then it's all build up and lead into the majors. So this episode will be not the normal way we would do things, but if you're interested in Atlanta, that'll be in for the next episode. So do not worry. It will happen. So let's look at Astana, mate, because there's a few things to look at. Astana right now for me, obviously it's the second time we've been back. This country is like the only one close to, and if not maybe in some ways more crazy than China. They have that level of fandom. People have probably seen the things where like Kioski was going out there and getting pushed on the floor and there were so many fans, they were jumping over fences and stuff. We had extra security, we had police security, everything that went down. It is like, I'd say the Chinese fans are a bit more respectful, yeah, where the Kazakh fans are like very full on. There was even a time I went outside, they circle you. So I went outside the hotel and they just surround you as a circle. Now, obviously,
is this some like a kind of thieving tactic to like encroach into a corner?
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
It's like 50 pickpocketers approaching you.
It's like they just think you won't be able to escape. But there was one time I wanted to walk to the mall with my wife and we had obviously Leo with us, the baby with us. And I told him I will see them later. Yeah. Just let me go to the mall and do my thing. In the end, I had to be like, not aggressive, but I mean, pushing within. I didn't like, by the way, some of these kids they're literal kids, like 10 years old and younger. One guy I met was 6 years old with his brother. Oh. But it's like, you need to just kind of, come on, move and push your way out of it. In the end, what ended up happening was some Kazakhstani fans that are like a bit older, they made the anti-raiders. That's what they called themselves, yeah? And anti-raiders are people who protect the talent and players from other fans.
So was this like an organized group beforehand, or was this?
No.
It was just like some parts of the fan base just said, "This is even too much to watch." Well, you guys go through.
Their reasoning was like they thought it was getting too crazy, and they didn't want us to have a bad opinion of Kazakhstan. That was what was told to me, right? Dastan even went out with a megaphone talking to them to try and be more calm. Didn't help. Even Dastan's like authority in their language didn't help. Didn't fix anything.
He couldn't kick them. It's the major.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll say this: the anti-raiders ended up being legendary because what ended up on one of the, I did like a mini signing session outside, and I tried to go outside pretty much. I think I went out every other day to give some time and attention. And also, if you do that, if you go out regularly, then obviously some of the people are there all the time. You kind of eventually get through everyone, so they more leave you alone. But the anti-raiders were amazing. So what happened was we come back from the mall. This guy sees us, we're leaving the mall, and he goes, "Don't worry, I don't want a picture. I'm an anti-raider." And I'm like, "What is an anti-raider?" He explains it to me. They literally make a like hand-linked chain around you, so around me, Lily, and the baby, to protect us from people getting close to you.
So you're like a moving, what are these called? Shield. Like, you know, the security bands, you know, when you go into like a club or something that makes the line. What are those called?
Bouncers.
No, like, you know, the straps between poles or whatever.
Oh, yeah. You mean like you even have an airport to like put a line into things?
Yeah.
This is like a human version.
human. I was about to say centipede there, but
no, don't do that. That's a completely wrong way to go. That's an old movie. People may not even remember that. This was like having a human shield. And then when I got to the hotel, I was going to do some signing. They kept the shield going, and they would just let people in one way, and then let people out the other way. So you were basically completely protected. So the fandom was crazy. Yeah. It's definitely a lot like China, but where the Chinese are a bit more reserved and shy, the Kazakhs are just like, Bex. And bro, even when I've told him, like, I will sign you, I will take a picture with you, they don't stop saying your name. And I'm thinking, like, bloody hell, like, please stop. You're just this same voice going again and again and again. But all in all, I would say this is the second most crazy fan base. Like, the Chinese still sit at the top, but the Kazakh one is definitely up there.
Oh.
I'll say this about the arena as well, is like last year, Friday, Saturday was definitely more busy, better. But this year, Sunday beat last year's Sunday. Okay. Like, I don't know if people couldn't afford tickets for like all day, so they just came on the Sunday for the final or whatever their plans were. But the Sunday was like, boom, crazy good. Crazy good. Like, that was amazing energy. I don't know if people saw it on the stream, but on the third place
do you think it had anything to do with Spirit being in the final?
Well, no, because they would have had to buy the tickets in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, even though I think, because I was hearing, like, ticket prices are expensive for normal local Kazakh people, you know? And obviously it's all in English in the arena. I'm guessing the whole Visit Astana thing. I did some filming with the government as well, right? I did the Visit Astana videos. I went a few days earlier. That was also really cool.
That was a really cool commercial, by the way.
I rode a horse for the first time in my life.
Yeah, I saw it. It was like in between commercial or like halftime breaks or between maps or something like that.
I don't know if it played on stream.
Yeah, it played.
I have no
idea. Played. I watched one where you were like standing in your Astana clothing or whatever.
Yeah.
We saw you ride a horse shortly, and you said like you amazing. Tried local food. You've been and saw really like good. Some monuments. I think as well, and it just kind of was like a clip
okay.
while you were speaking, and then it kind of came back to you. I don't know where you were, like outside the airport or something.
Yeah, they basically they brought me out 2 days early. This is the Visit Astana part of the government, whatever it is, right? You know, for tourism and stuff like that. They put us in a nice hotel, different hotel to what even like PGL put us in. So I was there for a couple of days. I'll say this, right? They gave us like the royal suite. There's a video I'm going to post later. This was like so over the top. I'm guessing, right, they just get a deal from this hotel. But like, I had a room with like an office room and a telephone. I posted on my Instagram story, my feet up on this like massive, you know, like if you're like an owner, you're a CEO of a company, like this is the kind of desk they gave you.
It's like this like really like wooden, big, chunky big desk. Wooden,
exactly.
It's like, and you probably raised like a level above, so people who come into your office just look shorter.
And then it had a full kitchen. Yeah, full living room with like, by the way, it had a dining room table for like 8 people. Like, it was like, basically this thing was an apartment, but it was in a hotel. Yeah. So they gave me that for 2 days. Obviously, I didn't even really use any of those rooms or anything. I just slept and did what I needed to do. But riding a horse was fun. Little bit scary because horses are crazy.
They're crazy powerful.
Dude, it's not just how, like, I'm a heavy dude. I'm over 100 kg and I'm on top of this horse. I was thinking, like, poor horse. He was not even struggling. Like, he had no problems at all. And the Kazakh people we were with, who were obviously training the horses and riding the horses, they're just like going, like the clappers, no problem at all. I also held the Golden Eagle.
Now, yeah, I saw that on the commercial.
Thing, I'm going to say this. I know this is much.
You were like snacking or something with it.
Dude, it was the most, like, I don't know if this would be right, but the most elegant, powerful predator I can think of, because when it's on your arms, it weighs like 5-7 kg, something like in around that, right? And when it grips onto you with them talons, it's so strong. And then they told me when it goes hunting, it can find wolves wolves, by the way. Grab them, pick them up, and because of its powerful wings, take them up in the air and then drop them and just wait for them to die and then eat them. Imagine if you are like, you think you are a predator of the ground. This thing doesn't care. It's smaller than them, but it's still like, that's a gangster ass predator of an animal. And obviously this one's very well trained.
Obviously it needs to be nerfed.
Exactly. And dude, you're stroking it, yeah, and it's so soft and it was so nice and there's like lovely, and then you hear about what it can do and you think, bloody hell. So yeah, they do some like this like nomadic hunting of old for Kazakhs, history and culture. Some of the food was great. I know people are going to be like, oh, horse meat. Horse meat's actually banging, full of protein as well. Not a very fatty meat. It actually tastes better when you do have some of the fat with it. That was pretty good. So
how is the culture? Is it like, because in my mind, I kind of see maybe it's resembling like Mongolian culture in some way.
A lot of people said that. As like, obviously I've never been to Mongolia, but like they are nomadic tribes, right?
Yeah.
Of old. So they have that similarities with it as well. I forget I don't want to say it wrong, but I forget the actual name, but like a hut, like teepee huts you'd have for native Indians. They have like a version of that for Kazakhs, but it's obviously for much colder conditions as well. Do you know the worst thing though of this whole adventure was I went quite far into like the village with the horse and the fucking mosquitoes destroyed me. Oh. Imagine bro. They saw this white man come from London and said, haha, you got different blood. Yeah, they, dude, not only were they wrecking the horse, but I had so many bites all over me. Like it was, I think they're basically all gone now, but it was like one on my neck, about 3 or 4 on my arm, and I'm just wearing a t-shirt and stuff as well. Like it was actually god awful. It was just so awful. None of it was fun at all.
Well, wow.
But
you enjoyed your stay.
So the rest of it was amazing, yeah. And it's good because obviously it shows that the government is wanting more tourists from other countries. I know there were some people that some fans came from Turkey, Germany, and Spain, who are 2 of them are normal CS fans I've seen at other events. Like I've actually met them before, and they came. So obviously this is why they want English in the arena and stuff rather than Russian that we had last time. A lot of people, by the way, I have to say this. How many people have said forever, oh, we need translators, we need this stuff. Bro, we had translator and literally all the Russian players I spoke to, other than like 2 or 3 of them, I'm like, yeah, look, you can speak Russian. We have a translator. Full just doing it in English. Literally, I think it's only like Shiro and some of the Magic players that use the translator. So doesn't matter what we do. Even when we give them a translator, they're still just rocking it in English. That's what they want to do. So it is a null and void question on like how useful. I feel like a translator for CS is great if it was like long form sit down content, and you want to get more out of them. But when you're doing these quick hits on stage or just a winner's interview or something like that,
most people can understand those kinds of. And also, I mean, you guys prep. I've obviously been with you when you're at the majors, and I mean, one of the things that you guys kind of think about is like, okay, can we take this guy? How good is his English?
Yeah.
How can we, kind of ask the questions so he understands them? And you kind of prep that all in depending on which person you have and how extensive their knowledge of speaking English is, right?
Exactly. So the whole time old question of like how good the translation would be or what it would come in there, like poor translate, he's obviously translating everything anyway to everyone in Russian in the arena because obviously it is a highly spoken language in there. I will say this, when you go around Astana, like all the signs are in Kazakh, Russian, and then English. So like they're definitely, they also opened their metro opened while we were there at the same time. So like it's progressive for the development of the country, what they're doing for the capital city. And honestly, I really enjoy it, and I hope we keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean,
I was
banger events.
Yep,
banger
I'm kind of
events.
sad. PGL, like they announced the Poland event. Yeah, I was hoping we would get an announcement of the next Astana, so we still don't know if we're getting Astana. And for people that think like I know because we're working these events, I didn't even know we were going to Poland. Like it's news. Unless it leaks, we don't often get told. It's all kept close to the chest. So let's go down the teams. Obviously, with 16 teams there, $1.6 million prize pool, so it was absolutely banging. We had one of the best games of Counter-Strike we've seen in a long time taking place at this event as well. K27, neither of us said that K27 would be going 0-3. They did. It was losing 2-0 to Falcons, 2-1 to Gentlemates, and then 2-0 to Magic as well. This is a K27 with X5 is what his name, the in-game leader said he wanted his name to be called. Not Steam ID, nothing else, nothing crazy. Fame was obviously the standout player for them, but this is just kind of what you expected from a team like this. By the way, I pretty much saw every single game, and like, even when I thought they were going to be competitive against Magic, especially it was the 0-2 game where those two went head to head, like they were a lot of team people's 0-3s. They ended up clawing back on overpass and still weren't able to win it. Magic took it over the line. So for this K27 team, just a difference in skill level, I'd say, even when facing like a Gentlemates and a Magic.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna be like completely fair, like Huns, K27, Fischer College, even Magic to some extent before the event, no one really thought would go further than like a 1-3 position. All dependent pretty randomly of who they're gonna get matched up in the end, who can make an upset, or what the matchups in the 0-2 would be. But all those four teams were in that 0-2 bracket, which is obviously why they kind of gathered up. But yeah, it's interesting. That part of the tournament wasn't really that interesting. The four last teams. That's not why we were there to watch.
No, definitely not. And that was the thing, right? Because you had Atlanta and Astana on at the same time. We did have more of these, like some of these lower down teams that are just not interesting. Obviously, some of them came through the qualifiers as well, right? For example, Fischer. It was Fischer, Huns, Magic, and K27 was a replacement team for Foot.
Yeah.
So then we can just go straight to Fischer College. I did get all my questions answered about Fischer College, by the way. You know, we were wrecking them last time. Not the players, not the team, but the system and how they get brought into all of this. But yeah, Fischer College. Great people, by the way. I got to speak to Alex and Korn in quite a bit of detail. The other two, not as much. Also, I spoke to Nilan a bit of just him coming out to help him. Nilan did say, like, because the team hadn't really practiced and stuff, he was kind of trying to fix things on the fly and help him out, but there's only so much he could do. It was great to speak to Alex after so long as well and just hear about the journey he's taken. By the way, they do have to full study the whole time while playing CS, and the only must thing they do for this scholarship is like they have to play in the esports collegiate league.
Okay.
So like they must play in that university thing. And obviously as everyone graduates, then they can't be on the team anymore, you know? So looking at, like, they got destroyed by G2. That's fair. Then they didn't have much of a chance against ParaVision. I spoke to them after that game and they were like, it's just a difference in skill and ability. So I think that's when they realized that even though, who was it? It was, who's the coach of M80 again? Rory, what's his name? What's his actual? Def. He said like, oh, you won't see the skill differences that big. Maybe for an M80 and these other teams, sure. But for these guys, it was like a wake-up call to a reality. You know, like...
But it's also one of the most annoying teams you can probably play, ParaVision, because it's a style that is so different to, I'm thinking, pretty much every single team in America that's ever existed in like their space. Because no one has been that slow, been that kind of contacty, been tricky with like silence. Like you barely get any information to play with. And that can be like, it's really easy to kind of get panicked and want to do extra things, get punished and over again. And yeah, if you're not super coordinated, it's a hard style to play against.
But then, this is the only thing that disappointed me. Yeah. They can get 2-0 the whole way. But then they play the Huns, who looked absolutely terrible. Huns have had a new in-game leader, a change-up, even though, like, 9 was the in-game leader, now it's controllers. Even against the Huns, they didn't stand a chance. 13-8, 13-6, like, that's when you realize there was no hope. I at least expected them to get a map there, I think. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, the Huns at least have had the taste of these tournaments for quite a while. Every, here and there, gone to like the big events and actually played against some of the best teams in the world. This was like a first trial for Fischer College. And I don't expect them to do anything but go 0-3 in this setting.
Yeah, and that's what we had. We did have that prediction done correctly. So next team we can look at is Heroic and their run they had here. This one, I'm not sure what to make of it, man, because I kept giving them a pass because Youngstar is not an AWPer, but he is now an AWPer. They came into this event with a lot of confidence. They'd had a 4th place at Stake Rank. They'd had the 2nd place at CCT Global Finals. Obviously, the grand final wasn't that great. But Heroic's a team that's used to playing in like this level. Now, you beat Aurora 2-0 in the opening game. I'll take that as an impressive win. Then you lose to Furia. There's not much of a shame in that, but it wasn't very competitive. But then it's the 2-0 loss to Gentlemates. Yeah. Who's a team we still have a lot of question marks about again and again.
Still
and then
not
they lose
chance.
Yeah. And then they lose 2-1 to Magic. Now, obviously, Magic beat our expectations in the end of it. I'm not going to knock them now because I was very harsh on Magic, thinking like they would do nothing coming into this. That's because we hadn't really seen too much of them. And I actually got talking to Moon and S-Fade quite a lot, so I've got a lot of information when we get there, which is obviously, I'm more than happy to say my opinion was wrong. But for Heroic, this is a worrying sign ahead of the major. And I know they've been grinding events. They've obviously got all this time off now until Staked Rank 2, and then they've still got to go to the major. But they're playing so much CS that it's scary that if they have a bad stake and then they go into the major, a team that looked like they could be with a chance to go stage 2 of the major might be looking at a sweet nothing.
It's just a weird, like, kind of tournament. Because you start off so strong, you beat Aurora, you go into Furia matchup. Of course, you're never really going to probably win that match in most cases. But they end up going like 13-4 on Mirage, 13-7, didn't really have a chance. Then they go against like a Gentlemates, a team that supposedly should be worse than them. They're not as high on the ranking, haven't really produced as consistent results as Heroic, and they just get stomped by them, like absolutely stomped. And to some degree, if you remove like the Dust 2 win for Heroic, they pretty much got stomped on Mirage and Inferno as well against Magic. So it's like, they just started really, really high, beating Aurora, and then everything kind of went to shit.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And it's about course correcting for them. We didn't have them go in playoffs.
No.
But I still put them above your Montes and Gentlemates just because they've been here before.
No, you wouldn't put them above Monte.
Before this, yes.
Would you?
Well,
you were riding high on Monte before.
I like Monte, right?
Yeah.
And I think Monte's a very capable team. But I would say with all the experience that Heroic has at being in S-tier events and always, like, remember, this is a team that was most of last year would always be getting an invite. Yeah? Going out like this, you would still place them even with the whole AWP situation, of having a better chance on paper than what Monte would.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. The thing is, like, I think the longer this drags out for Heroic, the worse of a position they'll be in. I think in the beginning,
mean the situation.
Yeah, like just this like confusion with the line and what are we actually working towards? We're just working with a situation where next week something could change for the players. Like Youngster doesn't know his position, the other players doesn't know what's happening.
But they know now it's guaranteed until at least after the major. Like they're sticking with this, right? So
yes, but it doesn't really give you any security for the future, because I think if you have a lineup that you 100% believe in as a group, as a unit, these are the players that we are going to develop with and together. It's much easier to find motivation and drive to kind of push forward, bring ideas and take initiative and, give all in practice, compared to a situation where I'm just riding along until after the major. Because I'm sure that Heroic, even now, they might be positive in an outlook's perspective. We can get a few games, but it's not like they're going into the major like, oh, we're going to do damage.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I think for these, because they're such a young team as well. Like, what's the average age of Heroic? 21.5.
Yeah,
but this is a heavily motivated young team to do well and grind it all out. But maybe they've just done too many events back to back. Too much of a grind for them.
I think so. I personally think they're in a situation where ever since they got Youngstar, it's basically been event after event, been grinding matches after matches,
trying to grab VRS points.
Yeah, with a player that probably just deathmatched a couple of hours before he tried the op.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Actually true.
The weird thing is, I'm impressed they've even kept the ranking where it is, because they're ranked 20 on VRS as at least the invites.
But that's what they've been grinding for, right? They've just been pushing themselves up for it the whole time.
Yes, I'm impressed with what they've achieved with such an unstable kind of project in some weird way. But yeah, I'm counting them out. I'm sorry to say.
We'll have to see basically the whole thing's going to be, who do they get afterwards?
Yeah.
What the situation is, because I spoke to Chris on the interview and he was like, we basically just treat him as an AWPer now. Like, that is it. This is our AWP. We just don't play completely around an AWPer. Kristen's finding out how to use him, but I mean, you're going to be doing that all the way to the major now. So yeah, I think I'm still disappointed. I expect them to be a little bit further than all of that. The Huns, by the way, I'm not sure, because that's the next team. I'm not sure if I'm disappointed or this is what I expected, because do you remember Budapest, where the Huns spent a lot of time in Europe? They were in Serbia, they were boot camping, they were playing. We kept hearing from teams how good they are, how sharp they are, like how deadly they are. And then, obviously, they lose Cobra Zero. He goes to the Mongols. Controllers goes to the Huns. But now, Controllers is the IGL. And 9 is not the IGL because his coach wanted him to focus on AWPing and being focused fully on AWP. 9's playing worse. They told me they don't know how their game plan is, and it shows. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they got 2-0 by Spirit, 2-0 by Aurora, no problems there. They did 2-0 Fischer. They had one map against Monte.
They had a close series with Monte, though.
Yeah, the overtime on Mirage in the end.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of unacceptable, because, the one thing is, you said, okay, the Huns will never go 0-3 in this event. I think you said last episode.
Yeah, I just said they're always good to get a game.
Yeah. And, if we're realistic, they are the lowest ranked team, VRS, second lowest.
Yeah.
From when the event started. Fisher College VRS was lower, and then the Huns. So technically, you could say that they overachieved.
In ranking sense, I know what you're saying. I get it, but
ish.
In the skills
or at
and
least
individual
they're
talent,
where they should be.
Oh, okay. They finished where they should be. Fair enough, but if they just understood how they wanted to play together and work together, some of the individuals can be so sharp, but they don't seem to be confident in what they want to do and how they want to play.
But did you catch any of their games?
I was on I watched the Monte one and I watched the Fischer College one. I didn't see the Aurora and Spirit first 2 games.
Did you watch the Monte Mirage one?
Yeah, bro. We were following it because we were like, there's no way Monte's losing to Huns. And then obviously, especially after the first map.
Actually I'm gonna check quickly even now as we're discussing this. So why I'm checking, I want to see if the Huns after Controllers was with the Mongols, if they're trying to kind of copy their style, and since Controllers was there with them, if that is where the confusion kind of comes in, because they are a very, very, they play with double lurkers kind of, and they give a lot of freedom to these lurkers to be aggressive. It's not so much a passive lurk. It's more like when we have, diverted attention in certain areas of the maps, that's when the lurker strikes and try to find their one-on-one duels, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of just want to see how they're playing their default.
The way it was explained to me was as if they wanted to play more around their AWP, because 9, by the way, was like, I don't know if he was ever the best player for the team, but he was an exciting, good AWPer while he was IGLing.
Yeah.
And now he seems to have regressed a little bit. Now he's not IGL.
Well, I think one part of it is they seem to do a lot of kind of set plays, which obviously isn't great for an AWPer if you run a lot of fast-paced set plays, because I just
no time to fill out the map.
I just look at some of these weapon rounds, and someone is dead at 45 seconds. Round is over at 120. Executed 145. The slowest round they did was a B split when 9 was holding con, went up short, and he actually got a pick, I think. No. But either way, that was just kind of the slowest round. Otherwise, it's very, very, very execute heavy, and the round is over within a minute, which isn't great for an AWPer. Kind of need to give them some time.
Like the Mongols.
No,
it didn't look like the Mongols.
No, it didn't look like that.
But that's what I'm. So this is what I'm saying is they went from playing around the AWPer to now going for this kind of trying to be set play, more tactical maybe, but less of maybe using their individuals.
Yeah,
because that was the whole thing that made them scary before. Yeah, they didn't do good at Budapest, but I had tier 1 teams telling me that actually it's a scary team to face. Like individually, they are sharp, and that's sad to see that Magic's gone just because Cobra's not there.
Yeah, I think it's a weird position when you play like a lot of set strats as a lower ranked team. Because it's like you're pretty much like shooting yourself in the foot. Like you're never going to, like, you have to pressure better teams. You have to do it. It's hard, yes, but you have to do it because they read the game so well and they're so in tune with triggers and how to stack, and it's
you're going to be forever behind.
It's like, if anyone remember when Australian teams used to come to like European events, they would run they would always like pick nuke and just run inner executes every single time after 15 seconds. It would just inner pops, and they would lose the half like 12-0. And then like the game is over after 5 minutes, That's kind of what I feel like when you run that. You're not doing any defaults before. You're just running strat after strat after strat after strat, and you lose the grip of the game so quickly against good teams.
And after this, so this was the biggest shock of the early part of the tournament. 12th to 14th, ParaVision. I don't know if you saw my Dastin interview, but again, we got massive honesty from him. You know what? I actually told him before we did this X interview, I don't want you to be like mega harsh. I'm not trying to get you some like clickbait out of this.
Yeah.
Because when he did that desk interview back in Bucharest, he was obviously just caught in the moment and in all the emotions. I told him, like, I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm not going to bait you into anything. You can just explain it your way, but I'm not trying to get you to just be like, yes, and I'm kicking, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But this is now worrying signs for them because They've dropped down quite a lot in VRS. They're outside the top 10. They'll still get invites. But the fall off is now real because it's constantly got worse. Top 4 at Rotterdam was good after a bad EPL. What it kept happening after they won Bounty at the beginning of the season, it was like win, do badly, get playoffs again, do badly, get playoffs again. Well, now it's not get playoffs after doing badly at the previous one. And yes, that could maybe follow the same cycle, but they're also going straight to CAC off the back of this. They're not having much time to fix things and practice it. People are also, I saw some comments where they're like, oh, because he's saying players are going to be kicked, like the players are all worried they're not going to play good. I don't think that's the case because this is maybe not 100% normal or typical way of doing things in the CIS region, but it is like an open and honest place where they know if you're not improving, you're not making not fixing your mistakes, you will get kicked. You won't stay on the team for long enough. And there's a lot of players they can pick up because obviously the region is so strong right now. You know, like the talent pool is there to pick from and grow from, that they don't just have to stick with what they've got.
I get like the sentiment of them dropping, but I think in reality it's just more of they're kind of going back to where they belong to some sense. Like, I think they are around that top 10 to 15 mark in terms of ability, where they can have pop-off games. They are competitive in pretty much every match that you see. I think in this Astana, they got a little bit of a shock playing 9Z early on, who, you know, managed to showcase, you know, a really, really strong playbook and type of play, which kind of dropped them down into a really weird position in the bracket, where, you know, they had to play Aurora in the 1-1 game, a tough game. They played really close. They then dropped down and played G2 in the 1-2 game. Again, played really, really close and ended up in the 1-3. I think that 9C game kind of screwed their bracket progression through this Swiss stage, where they had to play some really heavy teams in that middle of the pack, and they were so close to beating them. And it went from almost them having, you know, really successful group stage to just crash and burn. And it's like so narrow. It's a couple of rounds because, I mean, they go up, you know, if they win against Aurora, for example, could be facing, you know, Mouz, Furia, Gentlemates, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, and also like the worst draw ever in the 1-2 game for them. They got G2 instead of Monte, Huns, Heroic, or Magic. I think it was a tough one for them because, I mean, no one really expected 9C to go 3-0 through groups. And I think that's screwed ParaVision this event.
I did predict 9Z to beat ParaVision though. I said that from the beginning because I said that that's just their style will not work against the 9Z. 9Z doesn't care about you taking forever, doesn't care about you wanting to burn out utility. Like 9Z will just take fights to you and they'll be running at you. And also, I feel like 9Z is a much more, it's like a legacy with more control. I think Max does a very good job of holding people back and saying when they can go, you know?
But this is like the old 9C that used to be kind of so good at pausing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the middle of the round, they pause, they wait for mistakes.
IGL.
Yeah.
Same IGL.
And that was a very, very cool team to watch. But this is like, you know, a couple of years back. This was when
2024. They had that run at Dallas.
But it was they were at Antwerp Major as well.
Ah, okay.
I remember because I did prep on this team for the major. And I remember I thought their style was cool because they could do like half a little bit of a pop move up on A, get a frag, then just completely pause in sandwich, completely pause in ramp, just be ready, slow things down. It was almost like they gave the CTs kind of they've switched sides. They've gone to the other side.
And then you try to take some space back, and then you get punished for it.
And they force the cities to kind of regain control and actually confirm this into punishing again. And that's when they come in with their second wave of nades, take over the site, and continue on, right? So they have that really cool... It's a rare skill to have. It's a really hard skill to master. Pausing mid-action, because it requires tons of communication to make it, efficient.
Yeah. Before we keep talking about 9Z though, we need to finish off the ParaVision thing. We always do this. We get lost in the source of a certain matchup.
It is easy to kind of spin off, especially when it's 2 at night.
So the Aurora loss and the G2 loss, you're not going to hold against ParaVision, especially as they almost... Bro, the comeback they had on the Ancient against G2 looked so good. And then in overtime, nothing worked. Like after that, they got finished... absolutely destroyed. I was watching that one closely because obviously I was waiting to do the interview with Dastan, and like you said, we don't need to be too harsh on ParaVision, but I will say that I think with this result, and if they don't at least make a top 4 at CAC, they're 100% making changes even if they do really well at the major.
I still think they're a really scary team to go up against. Like, it doesn't matter if you're like, a Falcons or Spirit or whatever. I still think that no matter what, you're going to get this like ParaVision at the major who they're so good at overtimes. They're so good at keeping their composure and bringing it over the line. Didn't happen this event, but they are skilled at that. They're skilled at those positions because they seem to happen every single game they play. It doesn't even matter if it's a lower ranked team. They'll end up being in overtime.
Yeah.
So I'll still the word. I still have respect for them.
We always had them being the most deadly, right? They used to be able to eke these out.
Yeah, I'm not counting them out. I think they're still a good team. I think they're just kind of regressing into the position where they should be, or should have been all along.
But I think Dastan and James' expectations is, especially as James is one of the good IGLs for the CIS region when there's not so many of them, right? That they don't want to sit back and say that this is our norm.
No, but we have to also remember where they came from. They came from like being a top 40 team in Europe straight up into like the top 5s.
Yeah.
It's pretty natural that you're going to regress at least some sense as other teams find stability again.
I think it's just where that peak was at Bounty, even though part of it was online into the offline finals. I guess it gave them the taste of, we do have the skills to do it. Why can we not do it? And Dastan's obviously seeing some mistakes that is like, to him, we've been over this. This isn't acceptable. We heard about it in Budapest, right? That they literally are fining players for missed nades and missed smokes. So their job is not to settle for what you're saying, the 10th to 15th, even if that is their normal position with those players.
No, I get that. Nobody in the right mind would be a competitor and settle for those positions. But I think that's where they're at right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But it does seem like there's inevitable changes from no matter what, from everything that's been said, everything we've been discussed. Next, breaking through into 9th to 11th, Gentlemates. I feel like for Gentlemates, you beat K27 and Heroic, right? After losing to Mouz. And then you lose to Furia, but it's still 3 maps. Admittedly, you win Overpass against Furia as well, which wasn't on my bingo card, especially with how well Molodoy's been playing.
Could have beat Mouz in the opener.
I feel like...
What do you mean,
Well, I would say this, right? When it comes to, say, could have beat Mouz, yeah. It's the individuals on that Mouz team of one rookie, a JL coming back with rust on it. The first game was always going to be rough. Then the way they lost Mirage was like a little bit worrying. But once we saw I think it was Ancient. Yeah, Ancient was the crazy game from Xertion. 170 rating. Huge round swing on everything he was doing. I feel like for Gentlemates,
it's a good event from them.
good event for them, especially considering this is where they've struggled all the time. But it's still a team where I think I don't know where they're going to go from here. Because they seem to be keen on keeping this team, right? The same 5 players. They've got an average age of 27. It's not a young team. Martinez is like peak good. I don't know what stats he ended the whole event with, but I don't think I ever complain about what I see from Martinez.
He is like that team falls apart if he's gone. Like they completely fall apart. It's not even fun.
You see?
I'm actually
he's like mega carry, mega grinder.
Yeah, I'm gonna check his stats for the whole event. So he actually had a 104 rating. He was the highest rated player of their team. 114 KD, 13 maps played. Wasn't that good.
But why? Do you know what? I think he might be a player that baits me on the eye test. Because I always remember Martinez highlight. He's always nice when he does it. But that's the problem. If he's your most exciting hyped player, and that's what he delivers here when, let me just remind myself this. So they played a K27 and a Heroic where he should be farming some stats and stat padding. Even the Furia game, his rating was 1.19. It's just the Magic game, he had a stinker, 0.84.
Yeah, that's probably what dragged him down.
Oh, I remember this actually, because on the Inferno, bro, he was going for some ludicrous peaks down middle again and again. Like you're supposed to, but I mean, you're doing this against a Magic who were also, a Magic took some huge risks in that game as well. That was a wild one. But yeah, I think for Gentlemates, this position is not bad at all. It's just, it doesn't matter what event they go to. I can't see them ever being like a playoff contending team with this current 5.
No, I don't think so either. I think they can be a scary group stage team with the momentum that they sometimes get into, where just everything clicks and everything is working and they seem to just dominate. But it's very swingy in rounds with Gentlemates. It's all or nothing, basically.
Amazing at force buys, by the way.
Yeah.
Terrible pistol round win, but great at forces. They'll win that second round most of the time.
They're good. They're good at that kind of stuff. The Spanish always were.
Spanish skills. Next is Monte. Now, Monte, I think we were both fairly hyped on, right? And a lot of people, from what I was reading, were saying, like, this is one of the most promising teams to break through. Now, I thought they had huge upset potential playing this Furia, but Molodoy happened. The whole team dominated. They got 6 rounds in 2 maps. I'll say this. Kakafu wasn't there for the first 2 days. Now, they may have beaten Magic, but you can see maybe how, like, people give a lot of credit to Gizmi, and all of his players praise Gizmi so much, but maybe Kakafu also needs some praise if they were not able to have the same ability to do what we'd seen online in other tournaments in some of these smaller tier 2 lands. And it also is, like, when I look at this team, these are all players except for Azubu and Gizmi that came from, like, not high level teams, but good teams, but then were kicked later on. So, like, Rainwaker was Liquid, BMAS used to be FaZe, Afro was Fnatic. They all got removed, and now it's like we've put kind of like all the misfits together, you know?
Yeah, but it's a good bunch of misfits. I mean, I don't know how to rate their tournament overall. I think they did pretty well considering. The only disappointing thing is, like, obviously the opening match against Furia, massively disappointing that they get so crushed and dominated on 2 maps. The second is against G2, they actually have a chance to qualify for the playoff. Also 6 rounds in total in 2 maps. It seems to be highs and lows. But then you look at like the 1-1 game against Falcons, which, 13-11, 13-10.
Yeah.
That's pretty good considering. But it doesn't really, I don't really know where to put them or where to put them in this performance, because they won against Magic and they won against the Huns.
I'll say this. For me, looking at Monte, Azubu was one of the lowest rated players of the whole tournament. And considering I'm not expecting him to frag out or be some star player, but then when go watch these games, some of them he's literally costing them full rounds because of his mistakes. So he's not even holding his own or maybe playing the util like you would want or expect him to do, I think for me, after the major, they have to look at replacing him if they want to have any chance of to continue growing. Because you do have players like Rainwaker looking good, BMAS looking good. Afro, I'm not going to say is he's still a very good player. He's still not up there. He doesn't, to me, he's not a game-changing player. I'm definitely looking at...
No, he's more like a, you'll pretty much always get a decent performance from Afro.
Mm-hmm.
But it's as you say, it's not I don't know. I rarely probably put him having a 1.5 rated map or something like that. Yeah. I might be wrong. But I feel like you very, very often get a very mediocre performance from him.
Yeah. So for me, Azubu is the big one. If you can fix that piece, because there were some games, bro, he went 0, maybe he went 0-12. Went 0-12 one point. I remember going 0-11. I don't know if it ended 0-12, so I'm not going to say that what happened. But he had some stinker halves. Full just selling the game.
So he was the 9th worst player of the event. Now, most of the people...
4 or 5 Fischer College players there, he's one of the worst 4.
Most people are IGLs on this list, below him. We have Bartak, Nilan, Controllers, Christian, Kerrigan, Alex, Korn, Krepov. Yeah, if you remove the Fischer College guys, he's actually the 4th worst. 5th worst.
You see.
So, yeah.
But I don't have to go too much in Monte. I think for Monte, This is a learning curve. This means they've got a lot to do to get ready for the major. And if you're looking at it honestly, Azubu is the one who has to have the biggest question marks around him, especially if he's just getting rolled on like this when you come up against more pressured competition. The next one, by the way, is the Mongols. And I'm disappointed. I know for you've already been saying you're not expecting too much. I'll say this. They had an incredibly tough run at this event. They beat Magic, then they had to play Spirit, G2, Falcons, and Aurora. That's not an easy set of games at all.
No.
But this is also, again, I did the interview. So someone tried to tell me, oh no, the Mongols did practice. I did the interview with Blitz, and he said, we didn't really practice. We just had some individual practice when we were in Mongolia and Theory. So because obviously the practice isn't bad in Mongolia, they are not grinding out playing Asian teams or just Mongolian teams in 5v5s. But the old Mongols used to play for Mongolia and grind 5-man face it together. Yeah, this is the old, I'm talking about on their rise. And then also, when they were also on their rise, they were coming to Europe and they were playing 3 months in Europe, tournaments Serbia, boot camps, tournaments, blah, blah, blah. It seems like they're missing home more, or they're comfortable with where they are. And I don't want to say the hunger's gone, because I know some of the younger players are definitely more up for it, but something has changed. And guess what happened this event, Devilwalk? This I've never heard, by the way. Not only do the Mongols have a chef, so they get, the organization rents an Airbnb and brings over a chef to make them Mongolian style food. So
really,
bro, this is I learned this this event. This is a new thing. Yeah. So in general, teams from Asia obviously have different food than what we would, right? So like when we go to Asia, we can still get McDonald's or some KFC or some stuff we like. And personally, like I love Asian style food, so it's fine for me, yeah? But a lot of Asian teams, and I've heard this in many teams. I
mean, our Asian food is pretty much trash food.
Yeah, but I mean, we can go to their countries, right? And still get a good enough diet. Maybe not the healthiest, but we can still eat fine. But like for the Mongols, they're getting, this isn't just like one meal made for all of them to eat. This is, Techno says he wants this, Blitz says he wants this, Mazzino says he wants this. This chef makes all the food in the Airbnb, brings it to them. No one's ever had this. No one has ever had this. And then on top of that, they got this woman with them who's a medic. Not psychologist, not like a massage therapist. Because remember, it was at the Budapest Major, Furia had the massage person, right? I told you about in their practice room.
Why a medic?
A medic is someone who's not only doing like supplements, but also like health stuff for them. So like they were using some stuff where, I forget the name of the supplement. I've heard about it for gym before, but it basically like helps open up their veins to give them better blood flow and stuff as well. So like Mongols are going full serious with this, but then your team at the same time is not practicing. And then you're just kind of leveling up as the tournament goes on as best you can.
Do you think that this is kind of like Mongols' way to kind of avoid burnout, kind of do a little bit of a vitality, or trying to test the boundaries of how much break and how much practice are we actually going to do? And then now when it actually comes to this final kind of sprint towards the major, that's when the grind is going to start for them?
Well, they are going to boot camp before the major. I did confirm that with them. So that's no problem. But, I mean, these other events are important. And you are massively loved by your whole country. I would just expect them to be practicing more, or try and put more effort in.
Yeah. I mean, my worry was always that because of, you know, the whole sensor thing and how it panned out, that this was a case of burnout for almost the entire squad. It was just maybe not as visible at the very, you know, time of that.
Yep.
So, you know, you always said, you know, they are going to come back, be top 5 team. I was kind of more on the line of they'll be 5th to 11th-ish.
They're 6th right now. 6 is still somehow good.
It is good, but they were like my number 2 team before.
Yeah.
There's a huge kind of jump between those gaps. Even though it sounds small, it's pretty large gap.
Yeah. But I would say now, this run, I'm not going to be too critical of them because obviously, like we said, they lost to Spirit, Falcons, and Aurora. Yeah. All teams in the playoffs. Yeah. So it was a tough run because a lot of teams lost these 1-0 games or the 1-1 game, you know, and it sent a lot of things into disarray. But I just hold the Mongols to a higher level. And by the way, if the Mongols was the Falcons or if they were Na'vi or anyone else, the community would be ripping them to shreds. But the Mongols are lucky that everyone loves them.
Everyone loves them.
But they do literally get away with murder. Like, and now I'm saying this, they have this medic, they have this cook, you know? They have to perform not only well at CAC, but have a playoff run at the major again. Otherwise, someone in the organization needs to say, all right, guys, we've let you have all this time at home. It's back to the boot camps. It's back to like, because I agree with you. The burnout can be a real thing. For people to know, the Mongols have the furthest to travel out of any team every single time.
Yeah.
Like their travel days are completely crazy. Astana was the nicest one they had. I think it was 6 hours. So it's not the end of the world. But I mean, when they go to America, when they come to Europe, like every travel day is crazy for them. Let's Mongolia flight to Astana, Kazakhstan.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, you know,
4 hours 30 minutes. 4 hours 30 minutes. So no jet lag either.
They were like, we're basically home.
Exactly. But still, the food is a big win for them. The organization's obviously still investing in the things they want, right, to make them comfortable. So let's look at them in a fair light that this isn't an acceptable performance. They did have a tough run, and they are also getting a lot from the org, which I have never heard of a team getting a chef. I've heard about chefs on boot camp. Liquid has one in their facility, right, in the Netherlands. But with the team in an Airbnb cooking all the food exactly as they want, like, that's a huge win and luxury for them.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, next we get to playoffs. Now, our playoffs teams was Aurora, G2, 9Z, Furia, Magic, Mouz, Falcons, and Spirit. Now, for Aurora, the first team we're going to look at, I will say this, by the way, because obviously the bracket was so crazy, we got Furia Falcons in one of the opening quarter games. Like, that's a disgusting game to have. It was obviously the best game of the whole tournament. It was also the best game of 2026. Maybe it must be like top 2 or top 3 of CS2. It was so good. It was so damn good. But Aurora, if we look at them, I feel like Soulfly had a standout performance. I don't know where he ended on the ratings. Let's have a look. He might have been the best. No, Wakadia was the best rated player. Soulfly was third, only just behind Xantares. Only just behind Xantares. That's a real step up for him. Also, they have a new psychologist they're working with.
Yeah, I read about that.
Well, she hasn't been working with like every member of the team yet. She hasn't had enough time. But Soulfly was singing the praises. Woxic was saying a lot of positive things as well. So this could be a step in the right direction because we know how much the tilting of Aurora has been. When I spoke to Madra, he was saying a lot about I just need like the extra 10% of my team like working. I need everyone to work like a little bit harder. That's kind of worrying for me, you know, when you hear that from a top team. Well, no, I'm glad he wants them to give the extra 10%, but why are they not giving the extra 10%? Why are they not working harder, you know?
Players are players.
Oh, man.
If you only knew, my brother, if you only knew.
But just think of this, right?
I'll say it like this, okay? Like, back in the day, everyone was working. There was no one fucking handing you shit on a plate. You had to figure it out your own. There was no fucking YouTube videos, you know. Oh, I'll check my lineups. I'll have like 7 links on my notepad so I can remember all the lineups in 1 second.
Yeah.
No, you fucking learned them and you fucking... That's it. No fucking guide for you.
That's why you still know it all to this day.
I still remember smokes in my sleep on old Mirage that isn't even used anymore. But nothing was handed. You sat down, you had fucking middle of the night, 5 guys sitting there, theory crafting, doing all this shit. Nowadays, it's like you have an analyst, you have an assistant coach, you have people who actually just give you even console commands of where you spawn and where you aim with set position of where the crosshair is going to be, that you legit can just copy paste in a document and just put into your console. But I swear to God, most players are too lazy to do that.
That's bad though, no?
Of course it's fucking bad. It's terrible. This is why all the coaches get fucking burnt out after a year in Pro CS. It's terrible.
So let's look at Aurora's run.
I feel like an old man yelling, you know, like, back in my days.
Old man yells at clouds.
Yes.
That is the meme right now. But their run, they beat Heroic. They lost to Heroic opening game. They beat the Huns and Parivision. They lose to Mouz, then they beat the Mongols. The Mongols game, by the way, like, I thought that would be a tougher game than what it was. It was close in scoreline, but I didn't expect them to 2-0 it in any way. Especially after, like, I don't know how far Mongols were up on, they were 7-5 in the first half, but they were 11-10. Mazzinho had a 31 kill game, like he was just mad carrying 1.95 rating, dominating from start to finish. And somehow Aurora clawed their way back into that win, which was crazy. That showed better mental strength from them. And then in the playoffs game, they face Mouz again. They lose to Mouz. But this is a Mouz with like new players as well, by the way. Like,
and again, Xertion fucking, I don't know where this Xertion has been, but apparently him calling the shots, then all of a sudden he He's a beast.
Yeah. But looking at that, this run is okay for Aurora, but it still shows me worrying signs when I look at the players they have on this team. And Woxic had like a really bad tournament for his standards, right? Soulfly played better. But if Xantares is your star, and people, if they just look and say Xantares, he had a 1.08 rating, it's fine. With the positions and how Xantares is set up, this isn't fine. And I know we spoke about his hand problems and like all the things he has to go through. I know it can't be easy if he's literally got pains in his hand. But maybe if this is the case, they need to try and agree someone else gets the resources he gets. Like Wakadia, for example.
Yeah, it is bad because I think time and time again when I watch Aurora, especially in playoffs, it's been Xantares unfortunately being the one that's kind of letting them down to an extent.
Yeah. Bro,
and this obviously wasn't always the case, but in the past,
0.65.
At least in this Aurora team tag generation of this team,
yep,
it's been Xantares letting the team down.
And also, yes, his hand can have more pain the more he's playing, and the further they go into a tournament, maybe that's why it gets worse. But maybe we also need to have a conversation around it being like a playoff thing for him. Like he's not...
I wonder how that also like affects their practice. Because, True. You know, like I'm imagining, you know, maybe instead of playing 5 pracks, they play 3 pracks to kind of not overwhelm Xantares, and they kind of drop off because of that as well. And that's why the results sometimes they come into a tournament, they just like look like a completely different team. I don't know what's happening. You know, they come from really strong to meh all of a sudden.
Well, I'm just looking down some of the results, right? So Aurora quarterfinal against Vitality. Xantares is the best player of the team with 1.05 rating, but it's Vitality, so they lost 2-0. Xantares outside of playoffs, pretty high rating, 1.17. Finals against Na'Vi of EPL, lowest rated player, 0.76. Like there is a theme in playoffs of Xantares playing badly. Sadly, some of these games are against Vitality, so that is like one way to look at it. But I mean, this constant blame that the community has of like, oh, it's Maja. I'm not buying it so much anymore.
I don't buy it.
Yeah. And maybe, by the way, this is why they're looking to go international, because obviously the talent pool they're looking at within Turkey is very limited. There's so many more Valorant players than there are CS players. It's hard, like, playoffs is still fine, but we know they want more than this. We know they're aiming further than this. But they've got too many things that are limiting them now, especially when you're spending so much resources on your star player.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen games where this was probably against Vitality, where they, you know, Xantares has a 4-12 game on Nuke. I remember something. They dropped him the AK, did nothing with it. Someone else had like a 25-20 game or something.
Remember that Bucharest event they won, and we saw him on the cameras, like they're hyping up Xantares when he was having like a meltdown, even when they were winning the game against Legacy, to bring him mentally into it. So maybe the psychologist can start working with him.
I think that's probably the reason they brought him in. Her.
Yeah. Okay, from Aurora, though, we can look at G2. So G2's run was really just touch and go. So, like, they beat Fischer College. They had to play Mouz, Mongols, ParaVision. Then they played Monte, got through the playoffs, played Spirit. Bro, this was not like they got completely dominated by Spirit, but I'll say after the Dust 2, because I know, so Spirit picked Dust 2, but remember there was a whole time where G2 were regularly picking D2, playing into it. There was no respect shown. Like, everyone played so well. This was a team Spirit, not a donk Spirit that beat G2.
The one thing I'll say about G2 is before I used to get really worried when they played teams like Monte in the group stage, where they couldn't really find their consistency, where, they played someone that was quote unquote worse than them.
Yeah.
That these games were the hardest for them. Now, I'm kind of impressed that they figured something out, that they kind of could walk games off, show that they are a dominant team against some of the weaker ones and not struggling as much to kind of find a form. I mean, we only have a few examples in this, group stage or tournament, but still, you look at the run, Fischer College, 6 rounds, Fischer College, even the, game against Mouz, they were incredibly competitive throughout that series. They won the first map in overtime, lost 13-10 Mirage. You go to Mongols, obviously pretty bad, Dust 2, but competitive on that Inferno, very, very much so. And, good game against Parivision. And before it felt like they would almost always lose these close games and kind of have struggles against the lower tier. But I think this was a decent showing for them. They obviously played Spirit in the playoff, which I predicted to win the event beforehand. I just wanted to get that in there.
Oh yeah, you'll have your time. You'll have your time, mate. But when I did the loser interview with Saw, I said, like, what is it that we can sometimes see them Vitality push them to the brink, nearly beat Vitality even when they had a stand in IGL. And he said, like, they're still struggling to know how they want to play off each other, play with each other, and that will be fixed now when they go into boot camp before the major. But I still think there's a conversation to be had around how Hunter is in IGL and if they want to go forward with him IGLing going into after Cologne. Because remember, it's now been, I think, 2 majors in a row they've missed playoffs. Budapest and Austin. And then if they don't do well in Cologne, like, we're starting to get a bit better results out of some Pius in some games. Nerds can sometimes have some pop-off games, but it's like they need to fix out and have some time to work out what this team looks like on understanding how to play with each other at times, Because since the Nerds swap came in, they've just played so much from the staked ranked, right? I think that was the first event with Nerds. Yep. Staked ranked, Rio, Rivals, and now Astana.
I'm going to kind of just compare some events. Where did they end up in Rio? 7th to 8th. This is probably a good place to... I'm going to check like team stats. And there's like FTU stats page you can look at for teams, which has kind of quirky, in-depth statistics on some things. I just wanted to kind of compare it. So for teams, there's round win percentage, there's a percentage of rounds where the team won the opening duel, there's multi-kill per round by team's players, 5v4 percentage, 4v5, traded percentage, ADR, and flash assists, right? Per round.
Yep.
If we just compare IEM Rio with Astana.
Yep.
On round win percentage, G2 had 53% in Astana. And they had a Rio, they had a 55%. The big thing is like opening kills, they've improved significantly. Obviously, there's like a lower kind of sample size, etc., but by 3% approximately, so they raised themselves above 50%. Multi-kill is approximately the same. 5v4s, actually better in Rio. Just looking at this, trying to see if there's anything. The one thing that they've massively improved is the flash assists. So they actually have a 0.31, which is the third best of the event.
Yep.
Which is obviously a huge buff. it's almost up at like vitality levels of. But yeah, Spirit was the best at that. But it's some interesting stats you can keep track of in this.
I'm looking at G2 though in terms of Matiz. Sometimes we saw some great results from him. Same with Heavy God. I think Heavy God's the most consistent. Heavy God is a beast no matter what you ask of him what to do. Matiz has like some really high peaks, but his lows are low. Maybe I'll give Saw until like after Cologne Major what he wants to do, but I feel like they have to make at least playoffs for Cologne Major.
I mean, it's starting to get to the point where the project is so far along that, you know, they kind of just bought themselves a little bit of a lifeline with, you know, the swap with the Liquid, but kind of running out of excuses.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. After Cologne, then we'll have a better look, a better understanding.
Yeah.
All right, next is a super exciting team. Now, I was hyped on 9Z before this event. Never did I expect 9Z to go 3-0, and I was the one bigging them up. I expected them to beat ParaVision, but then they beat Falcons and Mouz. Bro, they beat all expectations. They were living the dream. They had 2 players in the top 10 of the whole, like, highest rated for the event.
Yeah.
Lutrov and DGT.
And, you know, they probably... I mean, they were the biggest thing of this event when they beat Falcons, obviously. That was like, okay, is Falcons going to crash and burn? Is this the end?
Same again.
You know, I think it really riled up the entire CS community when that happened. Yep. So, I mean, them beating Mouz, again, making playoff 3-0. I don't know if anyone expected this to ever happen.
I have some wild takes, and I was hyped on them, and I still didn't have them 3-0. I just said they beat ParaVision, that was it.
Yeah, and I mean, they play good CS, and I mean, could you expect a better tournament? Maybe that they reach semi-final against Magic in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
That you could possibly see that 9C is a bit of a stronger team than Magic, but...
Dude, I spoke to Bit afterwards, and he just said, like, with the run they had, losing to Magic and getting Magic in your opening draw for the quarters is like, they should have had, like, he knew they should have had it.
Yeah. And then they would have had a rematch against Falcons. Which would have been insane.
On a stage as well.
Yeah.
But it's like, they made some... Obviously, Magic is, we'll get into it, but Magic was a difficult team to play against in their style. Because, I would love to know what we'll get onto it later about Magic. But, I mean, they lost us too, and they tried to make a mini comeback into it. I felt like that's like, for both teams, never played on a stage. For most of the players, 9Z have more experience than Magic, obviously. Then they dominate 13-2 Magic on Mirage, and I feel like, okay, they just needed to get used to this, you know? Feel it out on stage. But then it also started off okay on Ancient into slipping away, making the wrong reads, they were 10-5 up on Ancient, ended up losing 13-11. Yeah. And Bit said, like, they shouldn't be losing to a team like that. It's not about disrespect to Magic. It's like of how well 9Z were playing and can play and who they beat, and to fall apart then, Bit was just very disappointing. If people don't understand what I'm saying, Bit is the coach of 9Z, not as in Bit from Na'Vi.
This is the first Bit.
Yeah, the very, very old Bit. Bit's been competing for like 20 years, man.
Yeah, I mean...
This run was great.
It's a great run. They put themselves on the map of all Counter-Strike enjoyers. I'm sure they already were in you know, the South American region.
Yeah.
But I hadn't watched many games of them from, you know, for obvious reasons. I'm kind of a enjoyer of European Counter-Strike and top-tier Counter-Strike.
European purist.
Yeah.
I told you, I just heard a lot of good things about Lutrov, and he did deliver. But DGT is also looking better than he ever did on Pain. You know,
DGT was always great though. Like in 9Z.
Do you remember? Yes, on 9Z. But do you remember at the beginning of Pain, DGT was still owning, and then we just saw as they changed the way they wanted to play. They changed as all classic Pain, changed roles, changed positions, give some, and he just went like we just never saw the same DGT again.
Yeah. It's great to see them back and kind of have their star players back as well, because it's obvious that they needed them to make a mark.
And I do think Max is just someone who's been with the team for 6 years now on 9Z, many different rosters, brought back some players, discovered new talent like Luchov. I think what Luchov's is 25, but like this is the first time we're really hearing about him. He was on Bestia before, obviously when they qualified for the major and didn't make it. It's crazy because like up until Bestia, we had not really heard of Luchov, but now he's definitely on the map. With an EVP for this event as well is crazy. And they're always going to sit there and think what if about this run because of what happened against Magic. But for me, it's just great experience they can take with them going into the major and going into future events. And by the way, their schedule is still nuts. They're going to staked ranked, and then in between it, they've gone back home to Argentina. Then they're going to staked ranked. Then they're going back home, boot camp major.
Yeah, that
Are they
is
in stage 2 or yeah, they're in stage 2 of the major. Yeah, that's all right. So it's not too bad for them. But yeah, super exciting team. Most exciting South American team right now. Already. And we don't even know what other 8 teams we're going to get. Next, we can talk about Furia. So Furia beat Monte, beat Heroic, lost to Spirit, and beat Gentlemates to make it through. So 3-1, not bad at all. Slightly competitive against Spirit. Almost lost 2-0, but clawed their way back on that overpass. Winning in overtime quite smoothly. Molodoy having a great event. Obviously, it is Astana for him.
Yeah, but I think it was, considering the downfall of Furia in the past few months, this was a good resurgence from them, like a good tournament before the major they're on the right track again, because I've been massively disappointed by them in prior tournaments, but this felt like, okay, we're finally getting Furia back. Finally getting what we know them to be. So I'm actually, I think the tournament was great. I mean, they got Falcons in the first playoff game. Obviously, it ended there.
Craziest game.
I think if they had pretty much any other opponent than Spirit and Falcons, they'd made it to the semifinal.
Yeah.
With the level that they, showed up at. So I take my hat off.
I'll say this as well. Molodoy, remember we spoke many times how I was messaging him and he was telling me he was watching these demos, trying to change his way of playing. Now they're talking about in interviews, both Fallen and Yakinda say it. He's trying to play more for the team, while also having some confidence to make his own plays. I feel like we found the balance of good for Yakinda. For Molodoy.
Yeah.
We're back to that again. And sometimes he can be a hard carry. Sometimes he can struggle a bit more. But when we had I'll give you this as well. I was in, because it'll be on their video log, I was in the shuttle with Furia after they got eliminated. And this is the duality of man. So I'm in the shuttle. Obviously, it's a crushing loss for them. So close. They could have won it 2-0 against Falcons. Falcons have this comeback and managed to make it work. One of the best games of CS we've had in recent memories. So I'm in the shuttle with them. Keserato, Yuri, Molodoy, very sad. Don't say too much. Watching on their phones. Obviously for Molodoy, really, really sad. It's his country, wanted to go further. Yakinda and Fallen were not happy, but were looking already back at clips, looking at things that happened in the game. Yakinda's talking about the round he was on nuke and he jumped down in overtime and just bangs 4 of them almost single-handedly. Well, he does single-handedly win the round. Out of nowhere, super sharp. Fallen literally said, I'm not sad because and I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but you never know when you're going to get a game like that again in your career. You know, like such a good game to play, such a hard game to play where it takes so much from you. And obviously he's going towards retirement soon as well. You know, at the end of the year, it's done. There's no more Fallen playing active Pro CS. So he's probably thinking like, what a game. But I mean, to be so close. But I agree with you. I think I can take it that it's a better trend for them in recent time.
It's a huge upswing because I think, you know, first of all, like you mentioned, Molodoy, that he's back. He was the second best, you know, stats, you know, rated player of the event. In recent times, we've seen him kind of struggle. We haven't really recognized him on the server. And that, for it to be like, maybe they're lucky Astana is like the event coming into the major or like at least being close enough for them to kind of get that form. Because they're going to need Molodoy. When Molodoy is like on that kind of, you know, he's one of the best operators in the world when he's on that form. And he's so exciting to watch. And Furia just becomes scary because, I mean, you can say like, you know, Monte. I almost prefer, you know, a top form Molodoy compared to a top form Monte. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, I'm just like preference, like watching. I love watching Molodoy in top form. Obviously, Monte is great as well. But
Monte's much better with a rifle.
Yes.
If you're talking straight AWP, people might choose Molodoy, but after what we saw with how Monte was AWP in this event, I'm still picking Monte.
Yeah. I think it's like a preference thing. I think overall Monte is just more of a stable player than Molodoy.
Mm-hmm.
But the peak just makes me like when... I still remember that round on the major when he just jumped down train like a little simple esque and just took an entry and jumped back up in
ladder,
lower.
Like
it was so freaking beautiful. I loved it and I got excited. I jumped up in you know, our green room, and those kinds of moments, they're so crazy because it's like, why do you even attempt this? Because it's like a 10% duel for you and it's 90 for them, and just pull it off. And he has that.
Honestly, does that every game?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, I would disagree.
He doesn't do that crazy stuff. He plays way, quote unquote, smarter CS than Molodoy does. I'm just saying the explosiveness of Molodoy I find better. More watchable. I think better is maybe a wrong phrase.
Yeah, it's a stretch of where you're trying to go with this. All right, it's your opinion.
Either way, we spun off on something completely different.
Yeah. So from there, right, after Furia, we look at Magic. I thought Magic, like, people in the comments last episode said, oh, disrespect to Magic, blah, blah, blah. Looking at their past results and looking at the fact I'd never watched a game of theirs, I had no belief that they were going to go this far. They got AW, who's like...
What reference point are we going to take Magic to this? They had AW, previous ParaVision player. He was the worst player on ParaVision, and by far, yes, he had the shittiest positions and all of that, and he seemed to be a lot more freed up in this Magic, but there's nothing on paper telling us that this team would make a semi-final of Astana.
No.
Or even make it out of groups. There was nothing pointing towards that. We can look at, you know, some of the results even before, like, okay, they lost to Nuclear Tigress in the Nodwin Clash series.
This is what I'm saying, like, that they're... People were trying to say, like, I'd said some crazy things that like, they're the worst team ever. But, I mean, their results didn't fill me with any confidence coming into this. But I'll say this. I'm definitely now a fan of Moon. So, Moon, Kazakh opera again, 20 years old. He basically surprised me from interviews to how he conducts himself. He's not the craziest stand-up player. He might have been the worst player for Magic across the whole event, or second to worst. But just the hard work that they were 0-2 down. They were about to be eliminated. They then go playoffs. Then they make top 4 by winning their quarterfinal game against 9Z. This was a run where they were telling me S-Fade was sleeping for 30 minutes a night during the group stage because they didn't have good prep and he needed to change everything with the coach of how they would prepare. So he was sacrificing everything to make sure they could have a good run. And that to me is like, okay, you're working hard. I'll put big respect on that. And then Moon, it's his home country. It's first time in an arena. They were chanting Moon, Moon, Magic, Magic, you know?
Yeah.
Some players will never get that in their entire careers. You can play the game for 20 years. You might never get an arena event in your country, let alone you then have to be one of the players that the teams that qualify to the arena. So it was all like really beautiful for these guys. I was about to say it's really magical, but I'm not just going to throw that in there. But they also gained a lot of VRS points as well.
Yeah.
They're not in the major though, right? This is all before, so they're not in the major. Yeah, there's no Magic in the major. So like this is just a win for them for future events after the major. They're still going to be out from invite points, but if a lot of declines come in, they can get somewhere.
They earned 250 points almost on VRS.
Huge jump up.
And just 21th in the world right now.
Look how many games they played. Mongols lost 2-0. Monte lost 2-0. Then they beat K27. They beat Heroic. They beat Gentlemates. They beat 9Z. There was definitely a difference when they played like a Falcons in the semi-final. That was a no contest. They didn't have a chance. And then they played Mouz and they got destroyed again. JL was feasting. No rust in this game. But I'll say this about Magic is they're so unpredictable. When I was watching that qualifying game against Gentlemates, they were pushing the most BS stuff possible. There was one round in, is it overtime? Yeah, overtime on Inferno. AW is just solo running down mid and fighting them when they were just trying to get their default going. They were just trying to set up. And S-Fade's just calling like crazy plays. Some stacks, some pushing for not just information, but like taking all map control. Sneaky pushes down Banana before anyone even had an idea what was going on. Like they were finding the craziest timings. You would never have a chance to relax playing against these guys. Never.
Yeah, I'm just watching even some highlights from some of the players. But I mean, very, how do I even express this? Like very CIS, major qualifier-esque teams.
Definitely.
Hard to prepare against because some of the choices that are made are not really CS logical. But
definitely not.
I'm sure that they've, with the prep, they've seen gaps and things that they want to abuse, and they kind of have to play that way as well. To some extent, they have to gamble and like that they gamble in that way individually rather than just running same execute, same stuff all the time. But being unpredictable and putting pressure on the opponent, that's how you win in Counter-Strike. So in that sense, it's the right thing to do. And I mean, it's a dream tournament for them. Fourth at 100%. A tier 1 tournament where you have Spirit, Falcons, Mouz, Furia, G2, Aurora. There's so many teams that they went above that this is going to set them up, and we're probably going to see a lot more Magic coming into the second part of the year.
Definitely. So, looking at Mouz and their run, like, obviously they changed players, right? So, Xertion to IGL is one thing, and then you have JL and ZX coming in for their first tournament with Mouz. ZX obviously did stand in for that Krakow about a year ago. It was just one event, and then nothing else after that because Spinks was there. But this is like, You expect Mouz to make playoffs. You expect Mouz to perform well. But this was a lot of change for a team that hasn't been through kind of a drastic overhaul like this before, right? They just normally changed one player, an IGL and something like that, and went through it before. So for me, this run's really good. But this is a positive starting sign for them. They beat Gentlemates 2-1. They beat G2 2-1. They lose to 9Z. Then they beat Aurora twice. One to get to playoffs. And then the first game in playoffs. Crazy, by the way, they played each other back-to-back like that. That's just wild. Then they lose to Spirit. Now, the way they lost to Spirit, 13-3, 13-2, they didn't stand a chance. Like, they were just... They didn't even look like they connected into the server. And Cyclone, as much as I love him and he gives me good interviews, after that one, like, he just skated around some of the questions, was very PR'd with it.
But I mean, it's a great tournament from them. Like you said, like you mentioned, It's a great tournament. It's good results. I will say I was worried after the first game against Gentlemates, which they kind of... It looked like they were struggling to get that one over the line, or at least I had a feeling going into the third map that this could be scary. They managed to kind of, ride that out and, do a really good game against G2. Again, kind of, I probably expected G2 to be favorites in this game, considering how new the constellation of Mouz is.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and I mean, they took a map against a really good playing 9C. They probably were quote-unquote favorites in that game, but it's still such a fresh look of Mouz that I felt like a success for them was just making it through to the group stage, no matter if it was a 3-2 finish into the playoff or however you want to see it.
Yeah.
And I feel like making it to semifinals of this event was actually an overachievement in my eyes for them. I feel like they've done more than what I would have asked for them, and I'm sure they've done more than what they thought was maybe even possible to some extent, considering the lack of practice, lack of preparation, a lot of big changes, because, it's not only, popping 2 new players in, it's change of IGL, and it's obviously he knows the system, but the 2 more people need to be slotted in. There's role changes. Everything is switched around to some extent. I am really positive for Mouz in this tournament. The one thing I'll say for the future, I do not think Xertion is going to keep up the level that he showed in this tournament as an IGL. I think that's progressively going to dip down.
He said he said on his first interview with me, media day of the tournament, I want to bring a new era of IGLs in, of like these fragging IGLs. Now he's playing good positions, right? He has good spots. He can call his game into it. But I mean, many IGLs have had this good first tournament, and then obviously the prep and the changing things up and how it wants. Like, he's a sharp individual player, and Cyclone said he's one of the smartest people he's discussed CS with. So they might be on the same pathing and mindset and vision right now.
Yeah,
but if you look at look at the ratings for every other Mouz player, the gap between Xertion and anyone else, Torji
so
1.03. JL 1.03, Zelex 1.01, and Spinks 0.97. Spinks is the worrying one because he's like, to me, the consistent piece.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've not looked down. Let me do this now because maybe I'm just talking out my ass. But I always think of Spinks as like a player who he can have an up and down tournament. But yeah, he's mainly in the green. It's not many tournaments he has a bad tournament. Like, he's the impact player.
Yeah.
And they always used him very well. But this was like an anomaly. Like, for him to be this dialed down, it's not what I expect from him.
So I did not like deep dive into exactly how Mouz played.
Mm-hmm.
Was like JL entering? Was he lurking? What was like the constellation? Was it that maybe Spinks have had more of a role switch in this lineup to give more space to JL? Or how would you categorize it?
I would say it's a mix. Like everyone's taken some sacrifices.
Yeah.
So like on certain maps, for example, JL has his usual positions.
Okay.
And then on other maps, he's in brand new positions. He's anchoring, for example.
Okay.
And then on Zelix, sometimes he's like entering, and sometimes it's JL. So like, I'm trying to remember how was Sphinx being used. As it hits 2 a.m, my brain cannot remember onto exactly how Sphinx.
But either way, you know, I kind of see like JL and Sphinx, they are similar type players. You know, like they're not like, none of them is going to be like a hard entry. They can entry if they get the space to kind of work the map and get their own pacing. But they're kind of side of the map, trying to get a pick or two and play smart from there. In my eyes, at least. You know, he used to play like JL played Inferno and Banana. He played, you know, side-esque maps. And I feel like they now have two kind of playmaking lurkers in some sense, in Sphinx and JL. So I'm just wondering how that balance kind of sits within the team. And I'm sure that's something that we are going to have to explore more in depth as, you know, we see the progression of this Mouz team. But it's a question I'm posing right now, and I'm gonna check a little bit on Skybox and stuff like that. Actually, I'm just gonna do this now. I have this wonderful program.
I'm just looking.
So I'm just gonna pop in, like, let's say, what's a map which would be good to watch this? Let's see, like a Dust 2T side maybe. I'm just gonna pop this in. JL outside long, Sphinx outside, well, dark. So they seem to use them on the edges of the map, right? JL is on one edge, Sphinx is on the other. They're both kind of playing lurky position. But what I'm wondering the most is like who is going to be the hard lurk in their system. And it seems like here
JL outside long and then Sphinx upper B.
Yeah. But I'm also seeing like Sphinx is like a second man in, JL a third man in on a B pop.
Was ZX going first?
Sphinx was actually going first in one B pop here.
Okay.
So there's definitely a shift in that sense. Because obviously Xertion is not going to be hard entering every single time now that he's DRGL.
Yeah.
And it's interesting here, for example, they shift Sphinx from upper dark into long when they did a short execute here against Aurora, where JL was with the pack, but Sphinx, instead of being upper dark, was lurking long. And it can be quite smart, because JL is obviously the long player. You see him on short with flash assists, with kills, or whatever assists. Yep. You might, as a team, start to think like, okay, you know, I don't need to defend long. The long player is completely gone. And they've kind of shifted that into the round where Sphinx, you're hard lurking this round. Because other times I saw him here on the map, as I'm watching, he's the one following the pack, Sphinx. So they have some trickiness in there with that. And it's probably going to be quite a puzzle for Mouz to kind of figure out and fit in perfectly, because you have two active lurkers in your set, right?
Yep.
But it's going to be interesting to follow, at least.
And the whole thing about, obviously, JL coming to help the team with personality, with that voice, with bringing the energy up in the team as well. I don't think it was like massively needed in the games they had, other than the Spirit one, and then everyone just gets blown out of the water by Spirit anyway. And then he has a great game against Magic. Obviously, you expect them to dominate a team like Magic. So there's some caveats now to just see how it works when you get into more tournaments, deeper run of see how it goes, you know, tougher situations. closer games going towards overtime and stuff as well.
Yeah, but a really good tournament.
Specifically arena games. But yeah, I think anyone who's looking at this right now for Mouz, this is a great first showing with all of that. So now we get onto our last two teams. Falcons, second place, first event with Karrigan. It wasn't easy. It was a bit dicey throughout. Obviously, I was mega on the whole thing. Falcons will win, first event with Karrigan, hyping the whole thing up, believing Karrigan was going to have the Falcons wings and the Batman mask. But
I was more on that. They'll have some stumbles.
Yeah. And you were right about the stumble. So they stumbled against 9Z early in the second game. So they beat K27. They lost to 9Z. Then they beat Monte, Mongols, the amazing Furia game.
But I'll even say, even the first game against K27 was a bit of a stumble. Not the first map.
I can't even remember.
It's a 13-11 Ancient.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean...
I'll say this. There were some rounds which looked exactly like rounds with Kixan of they're going to lose this round and they still lost this round. But there was a lot of these rounds where it was 2v5s, 3v5s, and it looked scary, but they did win them. And, obviously people look so hard on the Falcons because of all these mess-ups and the players they have. It looked better, but Zonic himself, when I spoke to him in the lobby when we were in the hotel, he said there's still some of these rounds that are like the same problems we're having, but it is the first event. And did you see the interview Koski gave me after they beat Magic?
It was the trust in Karrigan.
Yeah, bro, I'd
right?
never seen him look happier.
Yeah.
I've been interviewing and talking to this guy so many times. Actually, I say so many times. I've interviewed him less because obviously he's been quite not shy, but he's a bit away from doing the interviews and stuff. And someone was telling me that actually he doesn't mind doing interviews, but when he's given some interviews before and said what he thinks, then the community's wrecked him or people have taken things out of context. I'll read you this because he sent me a message on Telegram. Yeah, I was talking to him. Where's my messages with him? I'll say this. He said, I really enjoy your vibe. Keep doing this. I like you a lot. Obviously, this is minimal English, right? But he was just so happy. And I'm going to say this. It's nothing to do with my interview. He was just so happy. This is all Karrigan. Because even if they hit second place, even if they didn't have the championship trophy lift at the end, this guy is believing everything. So Karrigan said in an interview, I'm the unk and he's the young star. He's like his kid. He's managed to get the best out of Kioski so far.
Yep. 100%.
And that's all you want. That's all you want. You want the guy to be able to deliver and live up to this hype. And I think if I'm looking down this is one of his best performances in the Falcons jersey. So he had that Cologne, right? But they didn't make playoffs and he hit 1.34 rating. Then they went Fischer, third to fourth place. Remember, Fischer didn't have as many good teams, 1.31 rating. And then there was a Krakow where they didn't make playoffs and they hit a 1.25 rating. So this is the deepest run where he has had a great performance, where he hasn't dropped off. Now, it is only one event, yeah? But that is something to show with that. That if they can have a deep run and he doesn't get in not performing up to those standards, if they can keep making this work, it's going to be huge.
I think
if he can build upon this.
Not only for Kiosk, I think the big thing that I saw is just, Karrigan has balls to change a situation in the server. It doesn't matter if it's Dust 2, he's willing to, even as an IGL, put himself in holding rotation frags, put himself in, these important situations where, he just knows instinctively, this is what I need to buy time for my team, or this is what I need to do for us to secure the round. He has the balls to step into those positions and take the fights, essentially.
Yep.
Now, obviously, there are rounds where it's a bit messy. It's a bit, obviously not worked out. But overall, this event, I don't see how it could have even been better, considering the lack of practice, considering the lack of preparation, considering the lack of, kind of finding the way to make this work within Kerrigan's vision. So I'm actually impressed with how well they actually played this event, considering everything, because they had a lot of, things going, against them in this event.
Yeah.
They could have probably, struggled against more teams. We saw they were stable. They kept their heads high in the Furia game. They played really well against Magis, kind of just brushed them off. And I will say they were competitive in the final, which I didn't expect at all.
They should have got a map, though. Bloody hell.
They should have got a what?
A map.
A map.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had a really good start on Dust 2, right?
I wouldn't say really good start, but like a positive start for sure. Yeah. But like, it was just the way it started to... Once you saw Spirit start to get a few rounds at the end of that, or end of that T side, that's when I looked at it as like, okay, now they're on. Those first rounds, yes, were worrying, but once Spirit were there, I'm surprised it even got to overtime,
Yeah.
Especially considering it was actually the CT sides that were looking better throughout this. Because I'll be honest, right? Considering how good we're praising Karrigan all the time, it was the T sides that were still lacking a lot for Falcons earlier. And I did speak to Karrigan when we did the interview. I said to him, in that crazy Furia game, like, how much is it prepared rounds versus like on the fly? And he was saying, obviously, it's a lot on the fly right now, a lot of the mid rounding and stuff. But that's what the Kioskis of the world have been enjoying playing under him, When to have some freedom, when to take some freedom away from them.
I thought you were crazy for picking Falcons to win the event. I honestly did. But, it's looking better than I expected so early on.
Yeah. Definitely, like, I feel like when they got to overtime on Dust 2, yeah, and they clawed their way back into it, then getting absolutely dominated once the Spirit had economy. Obviously, the reset, getting all that in there. Tania having a great grand final as well wasn't on the cards because he kept up performances from Rio. But I think all in all, yeah, it would have been nice if they could have got a map in the final and it wasn't as competitive in the first half for both Mirage and Ancient. But it's still a lot of positives considering you're going up against a Spirit that was looking almost unstoppable in some games. Just look at the Mouz one.
Yeah, this is the best Spirit we've seen, I think.
And I'll say this, normally, right, we hear this from Karrigan all the time. So once his team systems go and he knows what he's doing, that's when his output, he's not going to have sky-high numbers, but he'll be playing some more time on DM. He'll be getting himself to be a bit more sharp. But right now, he's had zero time for any of that. It's just complete focus on the team and doing what they need and getting everyone comfortable. Plus, obviously, he said as well, there's some call-outs for the positions the guys use that are not what he's used on FaZe for the past X amount of years, So he's in a bit of learning stage himself.
Yeah, and that always comes with changing teams because it's like, when a new map comes up, especially, positions are so based on your experience. So if someone makes a move against you, sometimes you just call that position that player's move.
Yeah.
Because it's just easy to reference by memory in that sense. Whilst another team will have another experience, another player, another team that did it against them, etc., etc. So that can be hard to get used to. It's like the first thing you do when you add a new teammate. You fly around the map and just say all the positions' names. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle in the beginning, but second place, struggling is pretty good.
definitely second place struggles is good considering his stacked event it was. And then to go on to the championship team, Spirit after 299 days lift another trophy. The last one before this was Blast Bounty 2025 Season 2 Finals. I'm trying to remember what lineup that was. Let me just quickly check. That was Chopper, Shiro, Zontix, Donk, Zway. So not even Magix was there. But this one was crazy. 2-0 Huns, 2-0 Mongols, 2-1 Furia. That was actually a pretty good matchup, I'll say that, because of the overpass and how close the Mirage was. Then 2-0 G2 in playoffs, 2-0 Mouz in playoffs, and 3-0 Falcons. So the whole tournament, they just dropped one map to Furia. That was it. And they almost didn't drop that map anyway, right? They almost won that no matter what. I'll say this about Spirit. Yes, people are going to look at this and think, Donk has a 1.61 rating. So, like, Donk carried again. No. Shiro had a great tournament. Tania had a great tournament as well. Zontix and Magix had the same numbers, even with Magix's IGL. Magix had a great final again. Magix just popping off on finals. Tania was so good in the finals. Did he have a bad map? No, he didn't have a single bad map.
I mean, I remember him
player on Mirage.
Pushing B long as CT like every single round, disrupting Falcons in the mid splits. I think, they've really unlocked.
He was their best CT player for all maps.
Yeah. Like, they've unlocked something in other players. I mean, even the Magix had his moments. They just look sharp, man. They don't look as stale. I mean, even remembering this Spirit with Chopper used to post like 0.75 rating or 0.80 rating.
Yeah.
There's a lot, where you have someone like Magix who picks up 0.20 more than Chopper. It makes a big difference in terms of the fragging potential in this team. And obviously, it's great to see Zontix back in form. He was a little bit shaky in the start of this kind of rebuild.
I spoke to him about that. He actually said, like, still he's sometimes... So, you remember I always used to say this about Zontix. Zontix on Old Spirit was... He would always know what Donk's going to do, where to move around, how they're going to play with each other, right? But now with what's being asked of him and what he's having to do, he's still in a bit of this, like, sometimes unsure.
Okay.
But he's not a problem, He might lose a duel or lose a sight, but he's not losing every round. He's not costing them multiple times. Like, he's not dead weight, No,
I think it's just like everyone seems to have their place in the Spirit compared to just a few months back where it just felt like, okay, Donk will kill 4 and we'll lose the round anyway.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. It feels like everyone has a part to play. It's not always the Donk show. It's not always, you don't have to just leave the spec on him. It's actually other people getting entries, securing the round. Donk is not even involved in some rounds. So there's something else about this.
Well, I would just say it's a more team performance CS, and this is a big topic right now. Sopvik, standing coach for Hally. I know he's part of the academy team, but even if you're bringing Hally back, keep this man as the assistant coach. Yeah. Bring him to all the main team things. Like, even if you're going back, because when I spoke to Zontix, Shiro, Magix, and Tania, not so much about the Sopvik situation, but all of them said kind of different things. But Donk was... let me give you the quote of my tweet. So... where's my tweet? So far, Spirit players on Sopvik for Hally changes in interviews. Shiro, emphasis on utility change. By the way, they went from having like one of the worst flash assists of the top 20 teams.
I'll even give you an example here. In the Budapest Major, Star Ladder, Spirit had a 0.21 flash assists per round. In this event, PGL Astana, they have a 0.33 flash assists per round. This is the highest of the tournament, and in Budapest they were second last.
See, that's crazy. Now, then, so Shiro said the emphasis on utility changed. Zontic said everything changed, obviously a very blunt answer. And Donk said nothing changed. Now, for me, that probably means that Donk is doing what he does.
For Donk, it didn't change.
But I asking them specifically, like, what changed with Sophic? But obviously nothing's changing for Donk directly, but he may not realize that, he's being actually...
Maybe he's not the one getting coached as much.
Yeah, but he's obviously maybe now actually being set up a bit more where he wasn't in the past, That was always the argument that he wasn't set up as much. But now the team's really firing, and guess what? It's a team performance. I'm seeing them win with team performances. This is not Donk hard carry. He may hard carry games because he's just incredible, But there's a lot of team fights being taken that allows him to do more later in the game. It's not just him running out and having to go die for it.
They also have like a huge upgrade in terms of average damage per round on their utility.
Yep.
It's up from the same reference point, the major, by 9 ADR per round. So instead of 21 damage per round in nades, they have 30.
But there's no way, right? Hally was saying don't use utility. Like, it can't be that. Sophic, when I asked him in the interview himself, he was saying, still Hally's system. Yeah, he's still just helping them be a bit more free and play off with each other,
Yeah, but pretty much in every aspect, obviously they won the tournament and they didn't win the major. So you're always going to be like a little bit worse in stats for reference.
Yeah.
But in a lot of these, the only thing... Oh, wait. I'm going to check a little bit here. They pretty much improved in every single stat aspect that you can have. Except for winning 4v5s. That for some reason was better before.
Okay.
No, it actually improved as well. I just checked the wrong team. So every single aspect, Spirit just got improved in these FTU statistics that you have.
And so they're playing better as a team. They're playing better together. Now they finally get a trophy. Okay, there's no vitality there, but guess what? There was still a lot of other strong teams there, and they faced Falcons, Mouz, G2, Furia, Mongols. The only easy game they had was the Huns. Easy game, as in not a top team. Everyone else was a top team they faced.
But I just feel like the difference in my mind of Spirit right now compared to the old one with Chopper just feels like there's more movement on the map. There's more players being involved. I remember seeing a Chopper Spirit where they would pause and just let Chopper lurk for 50 seconds and everyone's just sitting still. Well, now I see other people like Tinir taking initiative, other people like even Magix and Sontics with Donk and Shiro. It feels like everyone is present in the map and it's not just waiting for one opportunity to, make or break the round and then save, comparably to now where other people are, based on information, pushing through smokes, helping each other, faster responses on the server, comparably to Spirit of Old.
And do you know what's crazy as well is that when we were speaking to them, they were saying things such as when we were playing as a team, right? We were trusting each other more. We were playing disgusting was the word that I think Shiro said it's disgusting to play us right now. And I can understand it because for them in the game, it must be flowing so nicely. And it does feel like, I'm not going to say they're trying to copy Vitality, but they're trying to bring that element to their game that was never there because they were very focused one way, kind of dead inside team, But maybe they're starting to see the benefit of how you can play with each other and play off each other.
Yeah, I think, with trust, that fluidity kind of comes naturally instead of, if you hesitate in Counter-Strike, you usually lose the round or you're dead. And if that hesitancy is there, you're never going to see this fluidity. So I think there's bits and bobs of both things, both that they trust each other, but they're also having maybe a little bit more ideas and initiative taking, and they kind of give the freedom to take those initiatives. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Tenir before would be hesitant to push B doors to flank. Now he's just running out and he has the confidence to do it, and it feels like it's not a mistake if he dies.
Yeah. I will say as well.
I'm loving it.
I will say that this is such an important win for them and their development, and it's going to be interesting as Hally comes back for the major, because
I mean that's the big talking point.
In people go like, oh, you're just like a Hally hater or whatever. No, it's just something changed dramatically in this team at Rio and here now, which has got them a second place into a trophy that wasn't there before. So like 100% Spirit is playing better, and even if Hally comes back and everyone wants him back, Sotvik should have to stay in some way. 100%.
Yeah, I saw this, like, I think it was up on Reddit, where it's like, Overdrive, he obviously scouts for Spirit, and it's kind of like a leaker within the scene of information. He essentially streamed in Russian and said that people are crazy to say like Softic just comes in and all these changes are being made. There's more like Softic has within Hally systems fixed a few things. Linked up a few things within the system that's already
different perspective. Also knows Zontix and Donk from the academy days.
Yeah.
But it's the Tenir improvement that's so impressive.
Yeah.
If that can stay that way and he's unlocked it, it's just, and he's so happy, by the way. He gets his first trophy, but he's just happy at all interviews, so chill. His favorite word is for real, that he says all the time. I love it. It just makes me smile. But yeah, we've done a lot on Astana. It was a big event. It was an important event. Huge congrats to Spirit on the win. Crowd was win. PGL broke viewership records for their first, like, not their non-major PSL. It's their highest viewed non-major event for PGL. So that's
really
huge
cool.
W. Big one for the city of Astana and for Kazakhstan in general. I keep saying this, but I hope we keep going back. There's no announcement yet, but I would love to keep going back to Astana. I think it's just good location for a lot of teams.
Good events.
Especially visa things. Events have proved themselves to be working very well. Logistically, for us traveling and stuff, it's easy as well, from all different countries and all different people. It's hype, man. Oh, also, I'll say this. Another thing quickly. This is away from like broadcast and what I'm doing, but obviously I was away for quite some time. But to go back on stage and hit it, like, I'm not saying I did something amazing, but I mean, to have that crowd energy so good and to have so many positive comments and things like that, which is really nice. Like it actually, I didn't think people would like miss it, but the amount of people that were so happy to have that like hype and the loud moments and the stuff from me was nice. That was really like
I forgot to ask
personally.
What the fuck did you do on your birthday? Because your birthday was there.
Yeah. I actually went out for dinner with everyone.
Yeah.
Whole talent team went out. Yeah. Whole talent team went out. We basically, the people I messaged or I met from the government from Visit Astana, I asked one of the guys who was setting things up for us, like, what's the best steak place? And they gave us like a VIP room in this steak place. So we had like it was in a castle, it was in a castle, awesome steak place. And we had a private tabled room in there, and it was just great from start to finish. Because obviously I was able to take Leo because it was private and there's no music stuff going, just all of us together. So yeah, some great steaks. Lily got a Dragon Ball cake made for me out there. That was cool. That was really nice. But yeah, it was a great event to come back on. I appreciate all the people that said they missed me and they missed the hype that was missing at the events that have happened when I wasn't there. That means my hype is appreciated, that aura is appreciated. And it was just a real positive event to be a part of, from working back with everyone, coming with family, how the crowd was reacting, players talking to them again.
It was good to seeing you back.
Yeah.
It's good to see you on the screen.
It was nice. Like when, for example, I gave that message of Kioski saying like, I like your vibe, People maybe don't see it as like, maybe they underestimate it, But the fact that players want to talk to me and want to have that vibe with me, that just goes to show, of that whole thing of it. Like, this is players messaging me and telling me that, and you can get more out of them if they trust you. That's always a good thing. That'll help us for the podcast.
Nefarious.
You know what I mean? Get the answers. Yeah. Get the answers. Nothing else. Nothing else crazy. Was there anything else I wanted to say on Astana?
I think we're Gucci on Astana. We've talked about it for 2 hours and 20 minutes approximately.
We had a little break. So I could wake up again. Put water in my eyes. All right, let's go on to some of the news. Lots of recent news as well to cover. First one is actually on our Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, it'll be either down in the link below or it's what is it?
Allaboutcs.gg.
Allaboutcs.gg/Discord. Thank you very much, Devilwalk. So we have changed the way we're doing Discord. Our producer, Ivan, has done a big overhaul. We've got forums, notification, episode releases, still the Q&A. So every day, every episode, we take questions from the Discord and we answer your questions. So I think we've got a bunch in there now again as well, right? Yeah, we have. So we've got even more questions once again. And that's it. Anyone who wants to ask us a question can answer it. We answer it every episode, so be involved in that. But yeah, there's even news being posted in there, so make sure you join allaboutcs.gg/Discord.
You can sit, like, even during events, if you don't have anyone to, chat with or whatever, during matches, there's rooms for that as well. So, come join our community.
We're a nice little hub. It's the All About CS hub. Next bit of news, Kazakh, he did an interview with K Busy. It's his halftime show. You actually watched it. I didn't watch it, so this is going to be more of you talking. But Kazakh spoke on the Falcons removal, how it all happened and everything. So talk to me, Devilwalk. What happened? Because all I've read is the headlines.
Obviously, the HLTV post is pretty bad. It kind of like, in the worst possible moment was posted. Falcons doing good at the event, kind of proving that Falcons did the right choice of removing him. And then, bam, kicks on Falcons removal. I think it's a bit unfair to me. We were promised time. Now, I went back and I watched this, and this is very, very taken out of context, in my opinion. I think that he was done a little bit dirty by HLTV in this headline. Obviously, people have been criticizing him and kind of, being a bit mean to him, I guess, during this time where these comments kind of flowed up. But in the actual, interview, in no way did he speak like this was, completely unfair or anything. He just said it came out of the blue. And he obviously had a little bit of a struggle with Rio, but the way that I kind of read into what he said, I think it's unfair to me, we were promised time, was more like him talking in retrospect about the lineup and how it all started, and they were promised that they would have time, and he obviously admitted that they didn't have the greatest of form recently, but he was not under the impression that talks of changes were being made. And that, I think, maybe he thought was a little bit, slightly unfair that they didn't even talk about lineup changes and all of a sudden it happened. But he was in no way, super critical of Falcons or the way that it was handled. It was just an unfortunate kind of setting.
So it also seems like this headline, right, is if I do think it's unfair to me, we were promised time. That's just a headline taken from a quote, and there's so much more to the conversation.
Yeah? Yes.
So, the problem is, you go look at the video right now, as of today, 20th of May, 2026, there's 7,000 views on the video. Yet there's probably 50 or 60, maybe 100,000 people now that are on Telegram channels, forum posts, HLTV have read it and just read the headlines. So don't, we do the podcast, right? And people always take clips and things from it. But watch the whole thing to get a real perspective of it and hear
it's
how
not a long segment either. It's like a 5-minute segment you need to watch maximum to get the whole context of what he's trying to say.
And also, Kickstan's never been That's right. You always have this problem. Kicksan's not the one as well who's like a drama-filled person or a negative person. When I've known and spoken to him, even in hard losses, he's always been happy to go through things. He's always been fair. So, like, I couldn't imagine him being, like, saying anything untoward or something crazy, you know?
No, I didn't get that view at all.
I'll watch it probably tomorrow. Obviously, I was on crazy travel since it came out. But at least people shouldn't react so crazy about this whole thing with Kicksan. And also, I always say this for every team, and it's the same thing here. Removing someone before a major when they earn that major spot, that is Kicksan, is always bad by me.
That's the unfair part, because he was speaking about he had like 2 days to find a new team. Like, and he's in Rio. Like,
yeah, it's not happening. So he has to wait till the next cycle, right? Obviously, he needs to be bought out from it as well, but this is the business, and this is of all teams, you expect the Falcons to make a move like this if they can, right? Because maybe if they didn't get Carrigan, then it would not have happened ever at all. So there are always two sides to it. I'm very positive about the Carrigan move, but in my ideal world, it would happen, you know, after the major. That would be the best way, but that's not always the way it can go.
I like Kicksan. I think he's gonna get the team. Easy peasy.
Oh no, definitely. Just needs the right players and the ones that believe in what he's going to do.
Yeah.
The next one is ESL Pro League 25 is moving to Saudi Arabia. I will say this, right? ESL tried to be very smart with this. Normally, when ESL, Blast, PGL, whoever make a tweet, it's like, today we're announcing that ESL Pro League is going to Saudi Arabia. Big everything, yeah? They just tweeted, today we are disclosing additional information associated with ESL Pro League Season 25, our second event in 2027. It didn't say anything. You had to click on the link, yeah? So, like, they were trying to hide some of this. Now, I'll look at it from both sides. Obviously, I work in Saudi Arabia. I go to EWC every year. I went to Gamers 8 before that. I have no personal problem with it. Doesn't bother me at all. But for anyone that was complaining that this is happening, you got to look at yourselves, because it's been 4 or 5 years now of ESL being owned by the Saudi government, and they didn't have any events there other than EWC that's not part of the ESL like ecosystem. So I don't blame them now for getting it done, because EPL costs a lot of money. It's a longer running event. Putting it over in Saudi Arabia makes sense, you know? Like, this is still a business, guys. There is ESL, by the way, still has some of the smallest talent like announcements for people taking the spots and stuff like that. Everyone's trying to make money. PGL started to be more competitive. Blast was adjusting things. ESL needs to find ways to stay ahead and make things work. And also, teams, for people who don't realize, teams have been asking for countries that they can go to that are not in Europe, because some of their players from countries where it's harder to get into Europe, either visas, or you have 90 days out of 180 days you're allowed if people are not aware. You know, British passport's one of them, as an example. So Messi has to be always careful. So this is actually a thing teams will be maybe not so super positive about, but EPL was kind of downtrending. But I mean, I understand why people are like looking at it so badly, but it's not as crazy negative as people were expecting. But ESL did as much as possible to keep the PR less negative, you know.
I definitely weren't proud of the announcement
not in the same way they've done other things, right? That's what got me the most. Is like, you didn't do this justice as you would do any normal announcement.
It's just like they made the tweet as boring as they possibly could. Like, today we are disclosing additional information associated with ESL Pro League Season 25, our second event of 2027.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, they should know better, because in every time they announce the location, it's like a big post, big everything, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this one doesn't make any sense of why they wouldn't do it. I mean,
they predicted what the backlash would be. Let's just be honest.
You just have to take that L.
Yeah. I mean, like, it doesn't make it better by hiding it. No.
Yeah, it actually just makes you look more suspect.
Maybe no one will see this. Maybe we're safe.
And for people that don't know, by the way, like the organizations, maybe not the players, but the organizations themselves know this is happening in advance. They're all having discussions on so like organizations, as in the Vitalities, Mouz, whoever, all the big teams, are going to sit with a tournament organizer and say, I would like to be going here less and here less and here less. And most of that time, it's less America, less Europe for visa reasons and days in Europe. And then on a side note from this, it's not completely connected, but obviously Esports World Cup, as of right now, is supposed to be in Saudi Arabia.
Rumored.
We've obviously got the war in like Israel and who else is involved? Iran.
Yeah.
I'm not following this war, by the way. I already have to deal with the whole Russia.
One war is enough.
Ukraine. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm not informed on that side of what's happening. I just see it in the news every now and again. It's obviously bad all over the world, but bombs are still dropping, missiles are still flying. So Esports World Cup is going to Paris, supposedly. Do you know what I love about this? Is the original Esports World Cup I was going to in the 1.6 days was in Paris as well. So it's like a full circle moment. Yeah, ESWC, where this is EWC, but they're both called the same thing. It's just obviously one died off and now this is what remains.
Yeah, that tournament for me was, the old one is the reason I don't like to be in Paris.
Do you know what? I remember I wasn't playing, I was a journalist. I remember it was full French commentary because it was something about the law in France.
Yes.
You had to have French commentary in the arena, but you could hear, we didn't have noise cancelling headphones or anything back then. So imagine they're commentating in French, you're playing a French team.
The French had such an advantage, it's ridiculous.
Every time. The admins loved them, everyone was on their side.
It's kind of like the old, in the Cybersports arena in Kiev when you had like a Russian commentator or speaking
But did you have noise cancelling headphones in the Star Series back then or not? Are we still at that point?
No, we were still in the same,
normal
like
headsets.
2013, 14.
Yeah.
When it was like both a Dota event and a CS event at the same time. It's like we were just waiting for the Dota game to end and then CS came on and it was a bit messy back then, but
An Esports World Cup back then as well, for people that know the one that we're talking about, but it was always held in France and was a Paris-run organisation. They had multiple games as well. It was like 1.6, StarCraft, Warcraft, like all different games. All over the world, all different nations.
Venue.
Massive, massive. I did some of my first 1.6 interviews back then with like some of the old Mouz players when God B was on it. Great times, great memories. But yeah, it's coming full circle. So, by the looks of it, because of the war, we're going to be going to Paris rather than Saudi Arabia. Next one, the Forever Young. We're going to have to check how old he is at this point.
I want to exactly do that right now.
You do? Yeah, okay, you find out for us then. So, Fiku is now joining Medisport. Fiku, forever young as he be.
He's 22. How is he 22? It feels like he's been there forever.
Forever, yeah. Do you know, this is crazy, by the way.
2019, he was playing in Argo.
I will say, it's nice to see some of the Ends players now like already getting other teams and being able to move on. His biggest moment was obviously on OG during the partner league, so you would see a lot of Fiku. He's had positive moments, but I think like he's never got to the exact point you would want him to get to, you know? Like he's never been as good as what people hyped him up to be, but he is a stable player. He's playing now with Stanislaw, Plopsky, Isaac, and Forzi. Medisport is now only 2 Swedish people. Vince is obviously the coach. He's worked with Stanislaw a long time back on the Wildcard project. So, yeah. Here we are. Obviously, Fiku was on the wildcard team as well with Vins and Stanislaus. So let's see what they can do. They're ranked 94th in the world right now. They did just win a European Pro League Series 6 with Fiku.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be... I mean,
positive.
We'll see what happens with this Metasports. But it was... I just kind of dragged it into the document because it was the only roster change I could... find during this period. Not super interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Interesting though is our next one. 100 Thieves win Parken Challenge Championship Season 6.
But I mean, 100 Thieves won the event. It's an event of an 8-team tournament. We have the Czech team Hafu. I think they're Czech. It's the Czech flag, right? Yes, it is. Just had to double check. Ukrainian Gatorian, a Great Chaos, which is kind of like Latvian and Belarusian with a Swede randomly in there. Link's Legacy, Danish team, another Ukrainian MTX, and another Ukrainian Basement Boys, 100 Thieves, and Ascend, the Bulgarian squad.
So really, the only like super good team was 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves was definitely the best ones there. Yeah. And then I guess you can say Ascend, the Bulgarian team with Spellan, Red Star, Kaluber, Harn, and Screamo.
I've sent you the picture, by the way. We're gonna edit this picture in for anyone who didn't see it. Like, it just doesn't make sense because I know this exact hotel lobby. Yeah, this is the hotel we stay in often for blast events as well. Yeah. And we were there for the major as well. And like, they're not wearing anything sponsored. They got some weird fucking like futuristic glasses on. I just feel like it's unnecessary. Nothing against the ladies that they put there, but I mean, this reminds me of that Russian land from like 2008. Nothing else makes sense. I don't get it. It seems a bit tacky to me. I'll be honest. Like,
it is very, very tacky. Well, good win
also,
for 100 Thieves.
Their trophy's kind of like Blast Trophy gone wrong.
It looks better than Blast Trophy, in my opinion.
But it's just another, like... This looks like actually, you know what it looks like? It looks like an esports award trophy.
Danish trophies are like shapes, like random shapes. They're into shapes over there.
Oh, dear. But yeah, for 100 Thieves, this is good. It's not a tough game for them, right? I don't think this is tough for them at all.
No, but it's like we discussed before we actually started recording. It's like a smart event from 100 Thieves to pick up. They're obviously massive favorites coming into the event. They're just picking up their LAN points, kind of renewing their ranking a little bit. Because I think that this is kind of an event. They win. They stay in that position where I would say like BC Game has been in, where, you know, when there's multiple tournaments going on at the same time and maybe someone declines, that 100 Thieves could kind of jump into a tier 1 tournament and get a chance to prove themselves. That's kind of how I view why they're entering these tournaments, why they're winning these tournaments, is to propel themselves, be in a spot where they can get propelled, essentially.
So it's playing the smart game.
Yeah, they're playing the long game.
Yeah, it makes sense. And also, they've got Messioso, who's one of the VRS geniuses, as Mischief always tells us. So if they're going, there's definitely a good reason for it as well. So positive steps forward for them. Their focus is on making enough points, getting through to the major, doing things right by the system. But we're still waiting for like a standout win for this team, especially given the fact they've got Glaive coaching them, Reigns on the team, Device is there. Actually, let me look at this. How was Device's performance? Because he was still the one I had in most question. Device in the final, still the lowest rated, but it's still 1.12 rating, so he didn't play badly.
Yeah.
How's he doing in general at like this level of event? I will say, respect to Device and Rain, because going to these level of events, I know they're getting paid, I know it's a salary, but it's hard to go from being major winners, major MVPs, both of them, and to going through this, you know? It's a crazy thing. It's a hard reset to be able to take.
It is.
Some people couldn't do it. Some people could not do it.
They're doing well. We're probably going to see them at some bigger events following the second half of the year, I would presume.
Yeah. We'll be keeping an eye on them. We won't miss out on 100 Thieves. All right, next. Passion UA end their season early. Now, it says, we've made the decision to end the season for Passion UA's main roster early and withdraw from BC Game Masters Championship Season 2. Now, obviously, they didn't make the major. Very disappointing for the guys. They were part of that whole NA problem one. Senzu also didn't work out for them. There were some problems there. It's not stuff we can really get into fully, but it's not ideal situation. Now they're trying to make it work with SDY. Whether SDY's staying for, I can't remember, was he on loan or not?
He's on loan, yeah.
Yeah, he's on loan. Yeah, he's on loan. So whether they keep him or not, it's a thing we need to see later on.
Disappointing like for Passions, I see why they do it because of this abrupt end of the sensor loan and, putting their... I'll give them the credit where it's due. I think it's a smart choice to end the season and recalibrate and have lots of time to actually think about their choice rather than, switching kicking players or switching up and panic looking for solutions like a BC game has done in the middle of a season. I'd rather have people do this and make a very well thought out decision coming into the next half of the season rather than panic and scramble and make things worse as you go. Yeah. So it's sad to see, but I respect their decision.
Yeah. And that's the end of the news. So we got one more thing to do. It's CAC time once again back in Shanghai, China. It is I think it counts still as a big event. Maybe it has an MVP. I'm not 100% sure.
The games are starting in recording in 1 hour.
1 hour and 10 minutes in the first game starts. So when this video comes out, you will have missed some of the opening games. But it is only a 4-day event for $1 million in China. I saw a lot of the boys flying business class and all nice over there if you're for one of the top teams. But I'll look at it this way. You've got Falcons, Parivision, Mongols, and Mouz as like your top teams. Then you've got Legacy, Bait, 3D Max, Pain, MAT, Liquid, MIBR, Tyloo, NRG, NIP, Lin Vision, and BC Game. Lin Vision came through a closed qualifier for China, so did Tyloo, and everyone else was VRS Global on it. So obviously there's a lot of money on the line. It is a VRS event. It's a very fast format. Some teams will be playing a best of 1 into a best of 3. It's going to be rapid. Like in 4 days, this is done. It's going to be crazy. Let's just go down for some of it. So BC Game still going to be playing with Skrunk, who was the analyst who's now the IGL, at least for the moment until the next season starts and whatever they're doing. I don't know. For BC Game, I know Taz gave that interview, and we love Taz. He came on this podcast. We spoke to him at a major. He gives us a lot of input and insight, but some of that interview was waffling from our friend Taz. There was a lot of waffling.
Yeah.
Can't lie.
It wasn't the greatest interview in my book.
Yeah.
Didn't really get any new information.
But it didn't, like, I understand what he's saying, but it's hard for me to see what he's saying with the moves they're making, decisions they're making, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Should we digest that interview or should we move on?
We'll move on. We can move on to Lin Vision, who as of right now, obviously we can kind of ignore that Yulin pinnacle of Battle Season 3 where they just got default win in the end. But they are doing well within China.
Yeah.
They are a top 2 team within China. Some people would say they're actually better than Tyloo right now, but maybe we'll understand that at this event. I'm obviously a big fan of Zaka and Amelia. Call me Sue as well because he always gives us good interviews. And their coach Gum is incredibly hardworking. They're just waiting for their chance to try and jump up the rankings. Ninjas in Pajamas. This is a good opportunity for him. I'm still so lost. I know. I'm still so lost on what this team does and what this team is.
I haven't really seen them play since they brought in Staven. So
they did the ranked event with Staven.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hit 3rd place. That was the one that Monte went on to win.
The stake one?
Yeah. No, CCT,
Global Finals, yes.
Yeah. And Stown did okay during that. So,
yeah. I don't really know what to expect. It's going to be fun seeing Stown on the server. I would probably be sleeping during this first game, but
hopefully. I might see one game tomorrow. I'll be honest, one game. This is crazy time.
This is straight into our sleeping schedule now when the game starts, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting to see.
We've got NRG there as well, who sadly have got worse since Grim's been added.
Yeah, I don't really know where to put them. I was really excited for them as the Grim move happened, and even before. Major. You heard that they can peak at the major. I mean,
oh, I hope. I hope. Didn't hear anything. No one's talking about NRG, mate.
All right. I mean, I hope so too. I don't really know what to expect. I hope they fix some of the issues. This is a good tournament for them. It's not that top heavy. It's a lot of teams that they can grind points from and get wins from and potentially even make playoff, because I think we got, is it a 16 playoff? Yes, it's a 16 playoff. Okay, maybe their chances are a bit lower than I originally thought.
Dwindling.
They're dwindling by the format. But it's definitely, there's a lot of teams that are a bit unknown and rocky, and you don't really know where to put them. So they have good chances to kind of snag some victories and do well at the tournament. But I have no idea what to expect.
After that, we're going to look at it's looking at Tyloo. So Tyloo, I said G, but I meant Tyloo. I'm just only focused. Obviously, I have a sweet spot for Tyloo. Yeah, I do really like the team. I do love the players as well.
You have a great relationship with the manager.
Yeah, the manager, me and him talk a lot when I never need information on the Chinese teams. Obviously, Zero, since he's come into the team, he's still learning his way, He's not the player a lot of people thought would go to the team, 20 years young. Still Jam Young is the carry. G has his up and down performances. As much as I like him, he's not stable and consistent. I would love to see them go to playoffs in here. But I mean, Tyloo right now just needs more experience. Like, look at this. Tyloo lost to GG Howe of our boy Synopsion. Not once, but twice. In an Asian league, in the Hero Esports Asian Championship League.
Yeah.
And this was a LAN event. So it's tough times for Tyloo right now, especially considering the teams they're going to have to go up against. So good luck to them. Definitely good luck to them. I hope they can do well. MIBR with LNZ. Obviously, within South America, they've been doing well. Yeah. There's a couple of second places in there. First place on the ESL Challenger. But when they went out to that Fergie, didn't go too well for them. PGL Bucharest wasn't good either. But they've had a lot of time to get ready for this. Over a month off from officials to be ready for CAC.
Interesting team. A little bit of a weird team. But, they have some really, really good individuals. Insani, constantly talked about. He's absolutely insane. So, I don't know.
If used correctly. Really know.
If used correctly, yeah. But it's a tournament that a lot of different results can kind of flip. And just to remind everyone, the opening matchups in Group A and Group B are best of ones.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to predict how this group bracket is actually. Yeah, we're doing them, but I'm just saying this could be random as F.
It is going to be random as hell, man. Especially if teams have jet lag and stuff.
I'd be happy if I match a 50%.
Mate, I'm going for 80% correct.
All right, I already wrote my
number out my ass. But yeah, MIBR still rocking it with the Klim guy as well. Letney as coach. The three Brazilians and LNC. Liquid is next. Liquid. Oh man, I can't just keep bullying Liquid. I don't know.
I don't even know what to say.
We'll just say, hopefully, they will do better than recent times.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them struggle in this tournament as well. I don't see them. I'm not seeing them going to playoff even.
No, of course, but of course not. I would put 5 teams ahead of them, maybe 6 teams ahead of them. Wait, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I would put 8. I would put 8 teams ahead of them of going to playoffs before I put Liquid.
Yeah.
So I was being nice at the beginning, and then the truth had to come out. So yeah, that's where we're at with them. Skipping ahead to M80. M80 is a weird one as well, to be fair.
I like M80, but
the problem is don't we can't keep saying this. We've said we liked M80 since I think before Budapest, yeah? Like it was halfway through last year we said we like M80. And they've kept the same team. They brought Jabe. How long has Jabe been on the team now? Oof.
I'm not saying they're gonna win the event. I'm just saying I like these motherfuckers.
But Jabe has been here as the upper, like he is the talent, right? Everyone was so hyped about him.
Yeah.
He's already been on the team now for 6 months. He came after the major. And I haven't seen them improve.
No. They probably stagnated since they removed Hext a bit.
Yeah. They lost to both Legacy and Liquid, 2 North American teams in Atlanta. Not North American. 2 America's teams in Atlanta as well. So it's going to be hard for them. Pain's an interesting one. Pain out of nowhere became an interesting team with that Atlanta run.
Yeah.
Beat FaZe, beat Foot. Maybe chances. 3D Max, what do you want to say about them?
I mean, they're a little bit hit
we
and
haven't
miss.
seen this since Rio.
I still have hope for them. I think they've gotten better with Masuta again. I don't really know where to put them. It's going to be interesting to see now that they've gotten some time again, kind of analyze their games and fix some problems. But for me, I'm hopeful for them. I could see them reach a playoff in this event. But I mean, it's 3D Max. It's a little bit flipping a coin. What you're gonna get?
Yeah. Next is Bait. I think Bait is slowly, very slowly improving. Still not the peaks of 1 game away from qualifying to major playoffs. Obviously, they lost that spot to Na'Vi.
I mean, they stopped the bleeding. They definitely stopped the bleeding.
They have done the course correct, haven't they?
Yes. So
they had a mess up at the beginning of the year by different Orpas joining the team coming out of it. The Bucharest top 8 helped. Rio wasn't pretty, but then they hit top 8 at Atlanta as well. They got nip in the opening game where they should be favored as well. So it's all quite good.
Yeah.
Legacy, 3rd place at Atlanta, 1st place in the South American Rush B Summit. It was only a bad run in Rio. Let's see how they handle China. They were the previous champions, by the way. Previous CAC champions. With Lux as IGL.
Yeah.
So they are the defending champions.
No, I think they're a good one. Yeah. I think in this tournament they could be good.
Same team as Mouz had for Astana. Looking to try and just keep going from there.
I'll rehash. I want to see how they do. This is like a tough tournament for a newly kind of formed constellation. A lot of teams, a lot of unknowns.
Best of ones.
Yeah.
Mongols. Well, I'm hoping they practiced. I'm hoping they didn't go home after Astana. I'm hoping they just went straight to Shanghai. Actually, I don't know why they go straight to Shanghai. I'm hoping they stayed in Europe, practiced a bit in Europe, and then went to Shanghai. That's what I hope.
This is a tournament Mongols should be aiming to win it. No, it's a perfect tournament for them.
Yeah,
at least challenge Falcons, because there's not that many big teams. I feel like Mongols probably in a little bit better shape than ParaVision. There's some unstable Mouz. Is that correct? They obviously played well, but they had some really unstable results in terms of getting crushed in some games.
Then crushed by Spirit.
So there's obviously stability issues there, even though they played really well. But I still think Mongols are a bit more stable in their performances. So I'm looking at Mongols maybe being like a finalist in this event. Is that fair?
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. You put them further than I would, but that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Respect.
I mean, that's mostly because of the kind of weak field of teams.
Yeah. But this is just like for teams who wanted to either try to get some extra points before major or wanted to get like a bit of last minute practice in there, because this will be good because of prize money for VRS. Just a crazy short event. And then some time off before the major into boot camp. Use this as like learning where you're at. ParaVision are attending as well. ParaVision who are going to every event. They're kind of like the Aurora and Mongols of last year. Aurora were supposed to be here, but they couldn't get their visas or something, which is crazy. That's why Nip replaced them, actually. We missed that.
Yeah.
For ParaVision, this is like show up and help us understand what you can do at the major.
Pretty much. I still am not as much of a downer on ParaVision. I just think they've kind of settled where they're in, but they should definitely be one of the top 4 teams at this event.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. I feel like great event for them to, even if they played on par with what they did last tournament, I see them going top 4.
Okay. And last but not least, Falcons. Probably winners of the whole tournament.
Probably winners of the whole tournament.
And all the people that told me I was crazy, Devilwalk, that Falcons could win a tournament on the first 2.
Imagine.
No. Don't make me do the glazing again.
I still think they will win this tournament as well, but I don't think it's going to be as pretty as you'd expect.
Doesn't need to be pretty.
There's still like, yes, they're the clear favorite. They should be winning this event. Anything else is like, I wouldn't say massive failure, but it's definitely a failure in some regards. But yeah, we'll see.
All right, you can go for your predictions. I'm just going through mine.
So my predictions is in the, well, this is a bit weirdly formatted in terms of when the games are happening. But my prediction for opening game 3D Max versus MIBR, I predict 3D Max. ParaVision versus Liquid, I have ParaVision winning. Mongols versus Linvision, Mongols.
I'm the same as you, yep.
Bait and IP, this is where we differ. For the first time. I went for a random pick of NIP versus probably the more solid choice of Bait.
I went Bait, yeah.
I'm just like...
I'm confused why you went for this.
I went for it, now I'm going to stick with it.
All right.
It's the best of one. NIP can make it. I think they're good in prep. They know the matchup beforehand. They can win the best of one. Legacy versus NRG. Legacy. Mouz versus Tai Lu. We have one G lover on the side of Banks, and I chose Mouz.
I'm picking Tai Lu purely because it's the best of one.
Falcons versus BC Game. Anyone who's picked BC Game, you should be
not me.
Yourself.
I picked Falcons.
Yeah. I'm just saying it out there.
They are just going to hype this up though, because Simple will play so well in that game and then do terrible in the rest of the games.
Is this the game, BC Game? Oh, this is such a weird sentence to say. But is this the game that they are winning in this tournament? From Simple and Co.
They could probably win the next one, but I mean...
It's the best of one, though.
But Simple will put up his best performance against Falcons because it's like a good matchup in terms of the players that will motivate Simple to play well.
All right. Pain versus M80.
Pain.
Winners of the event.
Falcons. I thought they were going to win Astana. But then we also need to predict who's going playoffs. So 3 teams from each group, right?
Yes. So I
group
will...
A,
do you want to start or should I start?
I'll say Falcons. They'll go straight. Do they go straight to semis? Yeah. Falcons straight to semis. Mouz in the quarters. And somehow Tai Lu go to quarters as well. Because I'm crazy.
What did you say?
Don't listen to that. Falcons, Mouz, Tai Lu.
Okay, I'm going Falcons, Mouz, Legacy.
Yeah, that's a very sane pick. I could have gone for Pain over. I could have gone for Pain, but I wanted Tai Lu in there. They're going to lose the best of one and then grind their way through the lower brackets.
Okay, I'll start Group B then.
Go on, then.
So I will have Mongols getting to semis.
Yep.
I will have ParaVision quarters. And I think I will pick... This one is actually quite hard. The third pick in this group. I'm gonna bet on a 3D Max.
Okay.
In the lower final as the third.
I'm gonna go with Mongols, ParaVision, and Bait.
Also solid
obviously
choice.
With Mongols going to the semis.
I think the third one is quite difficult to predict in Group B.
Yeah, that's kind of up in the air. But I'll give it to Bait. They can make a good run.
Yeah.
All right. So that is it. Finally done for the podcast. But we need to do our Q&A questions, DW, and then we're done.
Yeah, I just need to...
So anyone who was on the Discord, I'll read them off straight from Discord for us. So for anyone who doesn't know, www.allaboutcs.gg/Discord. Join the Discord. Go to the Q&A channel and you can ask any question to us and we will reply. So the first one's from a guy called Mazaru and it says, might be recently biased, but should Spirit keep soft dick after the performance of the last two tournaments and nice drip banks? Thank you very much for the nice drip. I actually got that with help from the Kazakhstani Astana government, Visit Astana. But I did have to give it all back except for the hat. I have the hat and that's it. Everything else I had to give back.
Hat is the coolest part.
Borrowed. I wanted the big fur jacket, man, but it cost like $2,500. Kind of crazy. I do think Softic should stay after the performance of the last two tournaments, but I don't think he's going to replace Hally. I think maybe it'd be good. Maybe they put Softic behind them and Hally as assistant coach, or they go back to having Hally as main coach and then Softic comes in as assistant coach because he doesn't need to be with the academy team anymore.
The one thing is that they have produced some incredible talents from Softic's academy teams over the years. I do think that he should be more involved with the main team and maybe be more like an overarching kind of controller of the academy whilst being with the main team.
But they have a coach. They have another dedicated coach, but he's still involved.
Yes. I think that could be something cool.
So he has to wear two hats and I
don't know how but either way, I like Softic with the main team. I think he's done some good work and it's you cannot not credit him for what has happened. So yeah, seems like a good fit. Seems to make Spirit better. So absolutely.
All right, next question for you to answer.
Kanareka says, welcome back. It's an absolute pleasure to see you back on stage. How hard was it to get back into hosting flow after the break? And what do you love most about the Kazakhstan crowd's energy?
Oh, well, thank you, first of all, for saying welcome back, and that it was a pleasure to see me on stage.
No problem.
How hard was it to get back? Devil was answering for him. How hard was it to get back into hosting? I feel like I had missed it so much that it wasn't as hard as I expected. Maybe the first day for the quarters on stage, it was slightly more difficult to get my voice going or just shake off some of the nerves. As I always say, I will always have nerves. Every time I go on stage, there's that feeling. But if you didn't have those, it'd probably be a bad thing. If I didn't have nerves, I just walk onto stage like this, that's bad. Like that means I'm not feeling the pressure, I'm not feeling the excitement, I'm not feeling the energy.
I think this is like, it just means you care. That's what I usually tell players if they're nervous in for a game or something. Just means they care. It's good. It's good.
And I'll say this though, right? I did quarters, more nervous. Semis, I had just a small amount of nerves. Grand final, I was like, oh shit, like back to big nerves again. So for me, it was good. It was perfect. Normally, it's like quarters, little nerves, then semis a bit more, then grand finals, the max, the most pressure.
Yeah.
But this was a bit weird because it was starting again that the quarters was a bit more than the semis, I would say also that even though I think I did an okay job of hosting in Astana, there were some things I wish I did better or thought about some more in it, like maybe doing a bit more crowd work on the quarters days, but obviously it was 4 best of 3s in one day. We finished, it was a 17.5-hour day on the Thursday. And I'm the first one in and the last one out because I'm the first on stage. And, then I'm doing all games, where everyone else has a rotation, like they switch on and off. So that day was just really hard for me. So I wasn't too happy then. Semi-finals, felt like I was working it a bit more. On the Sunday, I nearly made a big mistake. On the third place decider, the energy for a third place decider in the room was so good from the Kazakhstan crowd that go watch the broadcast back, you will see me, which never happens. I don't think I ever stumble so badly on this. I got to do the hype piece and I went, and I stopped. And I literally stopped and went, ooh. And the reason I stopped is because I nearly said, let's fucking go. Now, I swear a lot on the podcast, on my own stream. I'm a big potty mouth. I'm swearing all the time, but never on a broadcast. I've said like phase bullshit when asking a question because I'm like quoting what the thing is, but never when I've been hosting like to hype the crowd would I say, let's fucking go. So I stopped myself and then didn't say it and then went forward with it. But no one really minded. PJ even said if I wanted to, I could swear. But for me, it's like not on brand to do when there's so many kids and different people watching. Like on the podcast, it's our own thing, but it's very different. Yeah. And it says, what do you love most about the Kazakhstan crowd energy? I just think the Kazakhstan crowd reacts really well. There's a great mix of like, I did a signing session for my sponsor, 1xBet, the people I'm partnered with now for like 2 years. And there were people coming of all ages, families, everything coming to the booth, coming for the signing session. By the way, I was telling like all the little kids that came, definitely don't bet. Like, don't get into this. This is not for you. But in that crowd, there is so many young people who are just loving the energy and feeling everything. There's adults there. There's the normal CS fans. So I just think like it's a great mix of people. And it definitely feels like a country that just lives and breathes Counter-Strike. From how many internet cafes and cyber clubs, computer clubs that you guys have and how that culture is. I think that's something that's missing so much now in Europe and America because more people have computers at home. That I just think like it makes Kazakhstan and Astana very special.
Cool. Very cool.
One more question, but you can ask it because I had to ramble along. That question was just for me.
Aska says, if ParaVision leave...
Aska what?
Well, Aska says, if ParaVision leave playoff early or even won't get to it, will roster change happen before the major? Also, welcome back. Hope you had a wonderful time in Astana. I can answer first part as well. And I will just say, I don't think any roster changes will happen because that would fuck them. It's been a roster lock. They can't really do it. They would just screw themselves out of a place at the major, which it would be idiotic.
Dastan would play.
Yeah. I mean, they could technically change one player if they already registered that player as a sub. I don't know what sub they have, but no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. That basically your question I understand. Yeah, if they bombed out of CAC now, I don't think they can do it because they just need to keep practicing, keep grinding with their players. It doesn't make any sense to change anyone before a major. We already know Dastan wants to make changes after the major, and I don't think much is going to save that from happening. So we're just going to have to wait for that. And I did have a wonderful time in Astana. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Oh, by the way, I will say there was one thing in here, right? We didn't answer Skorga's next question.
Where is it?
So there was a question above what he wrote. There's 2 people who wrote questions that we just kind of missed, yeah? So Skorga said, I missed last week's Q&A, am I forgiven? He sends a question every time. And then he says, as for an actual question, with the major 2 weeks away, I want to ask a question about preparation for the major. What is or what was your most important piece of preparation before the major? Is there a piece of preparation from another player or coach that is most memorable to you? Yes, I'm asking both of you this question, as the major isn't a CS major without our professional players, casters, and presenters. Well, you can answer it from a coach perspective, can't you, DW? And as an analyst.
Well, for me, so this is when I joined No Chance. Now, this isn't for a major, but it is for the qualification to a minor.
He said a major.
I will still reference this because I think that this was my probably smartest thing that I've done. A pure gamble in some senses. But before the minor, we decided that, okay, let's not play officials for 2 months. So we had our HLTV profile, and we had the maps and win percentage, all of that. And it essentially said that we don't play Nuke. It was our auto veto. We rarely played Overpass. And what we did was we massively practiced these maps so that in a qualification, people would pick that map against us. So in the close qualifier, we played, I think, Windigo, played Heroic at the time, and someone else I can't remember. But essentially, both Windigo and Heroic picked Nuke against us, but it was the map we practiced maybe 2-3 times a day for the preparation for this, because we wanted them to pick our best map, so we would get a veto advantage. And that is what I saw was our best way to make the minor. So, yeah, we became really good. They picked the map against us. We absolutely destroyed them on Nuke, and we made the minor. That was
wins, I remember.
Yeah, that was the time the Mousesports had Kerrigan, Rops, and all of that. And then in the minor, we played them. Almost won. Almost
was
qualified.
Was it Berlin 2019?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes, my first major. Genius, by the way. Do you know who also does that? Dastan did that with Overpass a long time ago with either Avangar or VP. Like, they were not playing it at all, and then all of a sudden their Overpass was next level. Yeah. They played Overpass 3 times to qualify. They played it in 2 best of 1s and in the best of 3 and won all the games. It was crazy. So smart. For my side of preparing for a major, most important piece of preparation for me before the major, there's obviously all the basic stuff like map stats, recent times they played the maps, who they've played against, how the results have been, have they played against like top 5, top 10, top 20 teams, etc., expanding the numbers and seeing where their win percentages are, seeing where their stats change. The other thing is like watching all possible, and by the way, this is the hardest part, watching or listening to all possible content that's been released around the team or players. And sometimes, especially as CS gets more and more popular, there's YouTube videos and stuff from people I've never even heard of, and they've like not got an interview but got a breakdown or some other stuff on there. But I think now in where I am at my career, my most important thing is messaging players directly. Messaging someone on Instagram, talking to a coach, messaging someone on Discord. I can't say who, but some players and some coaches even sit with me and have a Discord call for like 15, 20 minutes and give me information. So I come in with lots of information before I've even done the first interviews on media day. And then on media day, I can talk to them more and get more insight. So it almost puts me a step ahead of anyone else who would do my role, just because I can message them and have this relationship with them. And I don't think anyone else was doing it when I work with other interviewers. So that's always been a big win for me. And then there was a guy who did send quite an ugly question to Banks as a Na'Vi fan. Is Vitality the biggest kryptonite of Na'Vi and overall the biggest kryptonite in Tier 1 CS? The last time Na'Vi won a legit match versus Vitality was in Rio Major, 5th of November 2022. Jesus Christ, he's gone way back. I don't need to know these horrible stats, bro. This is terrible with me.
The last time, actually, it's like 2 days ago.
The other day. Yeah, but then he goes, they scored a win versus Vitality in 2023, but it was a show match. I actually did that show match. I was the one who was part of that. And yeah, then he goes, well, that aged well. Took them 1,288 days, but they have done it. So he didn't even need the question answered. That's brilliant. Botaz, thank you very much, man. That made me smile. Oh, that's brilliant.
All right.
We got everything. Everything's done. All done and dusted. Luckily, we didn't do Atlanta as well as a review because it'd be a 5-hour podcast. But with that being said, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Please do drop a subscribe, like, and comment. We try to reply to all your comments on YouTube. Also, there are now comments on Spotify, so keep leaving them. All of this stuff really helps us grow. Our channel is at 3.5 million views right now, which is insane. People are enjoying the shorts as well. We try to give you like full deep dive and information all here on the main episode. And then afterwards, go into the shorts and give you smaller breakdowns you can catch up with, scroll through. But yeah, every view, no matter who it is, just one view is all very important to keep seeing the podcast grow and see all about Counter-Strike as what it is already today after 1 year and 5 months of doing this with my closest friend in esports. Like, it's crazy, all these late nights and time we put in. So thank you for everyone who's enjoying it. And we will do the next episode on the 24th, which is Sunday, after CAC finishes, because it'll be a good time during the day. And we will also cover IEM Atlanta then, so we'll do them two together. And then we'll also bring you an announcement for the major that's coming. So, yeah, I think I hit everything, DW.
I think you did. I think, you're better at the outros anyway, so I'm just going to say thank you for watching. Loving the comments, loving having some chats after episodes when we release them on YouTube and Spotify. And don't forget to join the Discord and have a live chat with us during the events.
Oh, yes. See you next episode. We'll see you on Sunday. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.